Welcome to your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about spray tanning, running your business, marketing your business. This course is going to cover all three of those main topics in great detail. I've also created an 81-page ebook that follows along this course that is linked in the description box. It would mean so much to me if you could take 1 second and hit like, subscribe so that more people can see this video. And before we get into this training, I also wanted to mention that I offer one-on-one mentorship calls and in-person training. So after you watch this video, if you are interested in furthering your education or you have more questions, the links to both of those are also in the description box. All right, let's get into it. A spray tan is a form of sunless tanning where a fine mist is sprayed onto your skin to give it a bronzed, sun-kissed glow without the exposure to harmful UV rays. Spray tanning as we know it originated from a scientific discovery in the 1950s. Ava Wittgenstein, a researcher at the University of Cincinnati, was actually studying DHA as a treatment for children with glycogen storage disease when she noticed that when the liquid DHA accidentally spilled onto the skin, it left a brown stain. This observation led scientists to explore DHA's potential for cosmetic use, and by the 1960s, DHA was approved by the FDA for topical application. Fast forward to the early 90s, spray tanning booths were introduced, and companies like Mystic Tan popularized automated spray tan booths in salons. Around the same time, custom airbrush tanning by hand began gaining traction because it provided a much more tailored look. Now jumping forward, spray tanning today, with advancements in technology, we now have better DHA blends that incorporate moisturizers, bronzers, anti-orange agents, and skin-benefiting ingredients. You'll find as you start researching for tanning solutions you want to carry in your studio that a lot of these solutions out there have added ingredients that are meant to nourish the skin. Lastly, I wanted to touch on the future of spray tanning and where I see the industry going. I truly believe that spray tanning is the future of the beauty industry because spray tans are only growing in popularity. I see this firsthand here in Seattle. I meet people at least once a week, if not more, who have never had a spray tan or even used self-tanner. And I'm sure that there are people in your city who have never either, which leaves a lot of room for aspiring artists to thrive in. The sunless tanning market was valued at over $1.5 billion in 2022 and is projected to grow to $2.7 billion by 2030. Yeah, for you math girlies out there, that's a steady growth rate of 6 to 8% every year, which means you are right where you need to be. Starting a spray tanning business right now is the perfect time because the industry is growing rapidly. Even if spray tanning is already popular in your city, there are always more people for you to reach and room for you to start your business. Spray tans are no longer just for special events or vacations. They are becoming a staple in beauty routines across the country. Clients are looking for safer, skin-friendlier alternatives to tanning beds and sun exposure, and you get to be the expert they trust. Let this be your reminder throughout this course that you are exactly where you're meant to be. And if you're willing to show up, learn, and put in the work, the industry has unlimited potential for you. All right, now let's really get into the science behind spray tanning and how you can customize every tan you do to deliver the most natural looking tans. Since you're the professional, it is super important that you have an in-depth understanding of the science behind how spray tanning the skin works. DHA, also known as dihydroxyacetone, is the active ingredient in every single spray tanning solution and self-tanner on the market. When DHA is applied to the skin, it only reacts with the stratum corneum, which is that very top layer of the skin. This top layer is made up of dead skin cells that are rich in protein and amino acids. When the DHA reacts with those amino acids through what's called the Maillard reaction, it creates brown-colored compounds known as melanoidins. Melanoidins are the pigment that is responsible for the beautiful golden color we see after spray tan is fully developed. DHA does not work instantly. It starts producing color within a few hours, but it takes time for the DHA to completely bind to those proteins and create that final depth of pigment. For most people, this process continues gradually for about 8 to 24 hours after the spray tan is applied. If you didn't know, your skin is constantly renewing itself through what's called the cell turnover cycle. New skin cells are created in the deeper layers of your epidermis and then gradually move toward the surface. By the time they reach the outermost layer, the stratum corneum, they become dead cells that eventually shed off and are replaced by new ones. For most adults, this natural cycle takes about 28 days on average. Because spray tans live on that outer layer of dead skin cells, the color fades as those cells shed naturally. That's why spray tans are temporary and why good aftercare like keeping the skin moisturized is so important to help extend the life of a tan and slow down visible fading. Moisturizing is hands down one of the most important steps before and after a spray tan. Not only do many people have dry skin, but DHA itself can be very drying. Keeping the skin hydrated creates a smoother, more even surface for the tan to develop on and helps maintain that glow for longer. Now, with all that being said, the key takeaway here is that the active ingredient in every tanning solution is DHA. And when it's applied to the skin, it reacts with the outermost layer of the skin and temporarily darkens it for about a period of 7 to 10 days. Now that you know the science behind spray tanning, let's dive into customizing spray tans with different DHA percentages and undertones. I wanted to start this section off by saying that no matter your skin tone, spray tans are actually for everyone. A common question I get is, I'm already tan, why would I need a spray tan? And the truth is, spray tans do more than just darken your skin. Even those with deeper complexions can benefit. They help enhance your warmth, even out your skin tone, hide cellulite, red patches, varicose veins, and ultimately make you feel amazing. Now, let's get into what makes spray tanning such a personalized service, because you're not just spraying everyone with the same solution. You are custom blending a tan that works with your client's skin, their goals, their lifestyle, and there are 4 major aspects to consider when customizing a spray tan: the DHA percentage, your client's skin tone and undertone, their development time, and how many coats of solution you apply. Let's break down each one. Starting off with the DHA percentages, as we just covered, DHA is the key ingredient that makes the skin darker, and the percentage of DHA in the solution determines how dark that final tan will be. Every professional spray tan solution lists its DHA percentage on the label, and by choosing different percentages, you can completely customize the depth of each tan, anything from a soft, natural glow to a rich, deep bronze. The levels of DHA range from 3 to 20%, 3% being on the very light side and 20% being on that extreme bodybuilding side. The DHA levels I use on a regular basis are 9% for a light glow, 12% for a medium glow, and 14% for a darker glow. As you begin to figure out what solution brands and levels you want to carry, you'll start to get a feel for what works best for your clients. For me, I can get people plenty dark with the 14% and light enough with the 9%, so I don't feel like I need to go lighter or darker just based on client feedback. If you're just getting started, you should offer a light, medium, and dark range for your clients, and then branch out from there if you feel like you need more than just 3 options. A lot of solution brands have many samples for you to test, and I always recommend that you try everything on yourself first. Make your decisions based on what you like, and then maybe tan a few of your friends and get their feedback if you're unsure of what direction to go. I will say testing out different solution brands and levels is very costly and time consuming. However, having an amazing solution that you love is literally the foundation of your whole business, so this is a very crucial step, not something to be hasty about. The beauty about owning your own business within the spray tanning industry is that it feels like everyone has their own favorite combos and their own favorite brands. So in my opinion, what you choose to carry in your studio is really an extension of you and what you like. So be confident in that when you are deciding on what solution brands you carry. Later on in this course, we're going to cover some of the most popular spray tanning solutions so you have a starting point to choose from if you have no idea where to begin. There are a lot of options in terms of DHA percentages, and that can easily get overwhelming. So my biggest tip is start with what you think will be best for you and your target audience, and then adjust accordingly based on feedback. Okay, now that you know the different percentages that DHA comes in, let's chat through how tan you can actually get your client based on their natural skin tone and undertone. Before we fully dive into your client's skin tone and undertone, I want to introduce you to something that will help make sense of how different skin types react to spray tans: the Fitzpatrick scale. If you spent any time in the beauty industry, you might have heard of it before. It is the universal classification system that was originally created to show how different skin types react to sun exposure. Whether someone burns easily, tans deeply, or is somewhere in between. For spray tan artists, the Fitzpatrick scale is incredibly useful because it gives us a baseline in determining what percentages of DHA we should be choosing for our clients. There are 6 different skin types, and they range from type 1, ivory, always burns, never tans; type 2, fair or pale, often burns, tans minimally; type 3, fair to beige, sometimes burns, gradually tans; type 4, olive or light brown, tans easily, rarely burns; Type 5, dark brown, rarely burns. And lastly, type 6, deep brown, never burns. Attached in your workbook is a Fitzpatrick skin type and undertone chart for using DHA for you to reference later. Now, the next step is understanding skin tone and undertones. The skin tone is the surface color of your skin, whereas undertone is the subtle hue beneath the skin. Let's first talk through all things skin tone. Your skin tone is the visible color of your skin, which can change due to factors like sun exposure, skincare, or skin conditions. Some common categories for skin tones are fair, light, medium, olive, and dark deep. When deciding what DHA percentage to use on someone, you first need to figure out what skin type they are, and the easiest way to do that is by asking them how easily they tan in the sun. Generally, the easier someone tans naturally, the higher the DHA percentage you can use safely. Clients with fair skin, a skin type 1 or 2, usually can't handle higher levels of DHA. Otherwise, the tan will look unnatural, or dare I say orange, which is every artist's worst nightmare. Your client's natural skin tone is always going to be the starting point for how you choose what DHA percentage to use on them. Because a spray tan builds on top of your client's existing tone, the same solution could look very different on two different people. For example, a fair skin client might get a medium tan with a certain solution, while that same solution might look lighter on someone with a deeper complexion. Here's something that's really important to know. Spray tans can only make someone so dark. Your client's natural skin tone sets the foundation, and while we can deepen it, there is a limit to how far we can push it before it stops looking natural. For example, if you have a client with very fair skin and they simply don't have the underlying pigment that someone with naturally deeper skin does, and you try to use a very high DHA percentage on them, a few things can happen. The tan can develop unevenly, it can look unnatural or overly dark for their skin tone, and lastly, it's going to make them look orange because their skin simply can't support that level of depth. It's a common misconception that you can just grab the darkest solution and make everyone look like they've been on vacation in the tropics for a month. That is not how spray tanning works. We're building color on top of their existing tone, not changing the genetic makeup of their skin tone. So, part of your job as a professional is to set realistic expectations. A fair-skinned client can absolutely achieve a gorgeous sun-kissed glow, but they're never going to look like someone with a naturally deepened skin tone, and that's okay. When you approach your consultations with this mindset, you're not only creating better results, but you're also building trust with your clients because they know that you're focused on what will look best for them. Now, the caveat here is at the end of the day, you are offering a service. So if that client doesn't care what you say and just wants to be as dark as humanly possible and isn't going to be happy with what tan works best for her, then hey, that's their prerogative and you're going to give them what they want because they are paying you to do so. What I try to do to help stop these situations from occurring is by promoting natural looking tans on my social media and my website. It is my goal to be known for natural looking tans, and when you start to market and educate online that way, you'll start to attract those types of clients. Okay, the next piece of customizing a client's tan is now looking at their undertones. As we learned at the beginning of this section, undertones are that subtle hue beneath the skin. Your client's undertones are permanent, underlying tones that stay consistent no matter the season or how tan they are. Types of undertones include cool, pink, red, and blue hues. The skin may burn easily and have a rosy or bluish hue. Then there are warm undertones like golden, yellow, or peach hues. The skin tans easily with a golden glow. And lastly, neutral undertones. These undertones have a balanced mix of warm and cool. Neutral undertones don't lean too red or yellow and are often adaptable to both silver and gold jewelry. Spray tan solutions not only come in different DHA percentages, but they also come in different undertones within those percentages. That's why it's so important to understand both your client's skin tone and their undertone. Knowing their undertone allows you to choose a solution with the right base color to balance and complement their natural undertones, giving them the most natural, even-looking tans. Think of choosing the undertone as a color corrector for the skin. Most professional spray tan solutions on the market fall into three main base categories, and those include a green or olive base, which is one of the most popular and versatile bases. An olive base solution helps neutralize red or pink undertones and gives a natural olive tone tan. This is a great option for fair to medium skin types that burn easily. Second, violet-based solutions. These are designed to cancel out yellow or golden undertones and help produce a deep, rich brown without orange. This is very popular for medium to dark skin tones or clients wanting a vacation-style tan. Lastly, brown-based solutions are more neutral, good for a wide variety of undertones, and are often marketed as universal for all skin tones. However, I do find on lighter skin types, using a brown base can lean a little bit more warm, which sometimes makes people feel too orange. Speaking of feeling too orange, 99% of the time, if a client tells you they don't want to be orange or they felt too orange when they tanned last, is really them telling you that they felt too warm. So when you encounter someone saying that to you, because you will, then that should tell you that they either need a different undertone to help balance out their skin tone, or they need to go down percentage-wise in DHA. Now, determining someone's undertones can be a bit more difficult when you're just starting out. If you're unsure just by looking at their skin, you can always ask your client how they would describe their undertones, but honestly, a lot of people don't know what their undertones are. I tend to just look at their skin during our consultation and determine their undertone by just doing a quick assessment. Something to note, choosing the right undertone is like picking the right filter. It enhances the final result, but it doesn't make or break the tan. The real color comes from the DHA, and that's what sticks around after the bronzer is rinsed off. Think of the undertone as your way to elevate a tan, not rescue it. You are using color theory to cancel out unwanted tones and bring balance, but it's not life or death. Sometimes I make a decision, for example, and choose an olive-based undertone, and mid-tan I'm thinking to myself, I think the violet would have been better. So what I do is I make a note in their account and try that next time. And I'm very transparent with my clients. I think that letting them know my thought process brings them along the journey and lets them know that I care about the results. So don't be afraid of choosing the wrong undertone. You can always adjust next time. Lastly, to even further customize your client's tan, you can also mix undertones and the DHA percentage. I personally only like to mix undertones within the same DHA percentage, just so I don't waste solution or have 5 million bottles of random combinations to store in my studio. I often will use a 50-50 blend of either brown olive or brown violet, so that's something to play around with as well as you get started testing different combinations on your clients. Okay, I feel like that was a lot that we just covered. So to summarize, when deciding on what percentage of DHA to use on your client, you need to know how well they tan in the sun, and then from there, you're gonna analyze their undertones and make a solution decision based on what you're seeing. Next on the list to customize your client's tan is choosing the development time, aka how long they're going to keep the solution on their skin before their first rinse. Let's get into it. In this section, we will be covering how you choose your client's development time and the difference between a rapid spray tan and a regular spray tan. First, let's break down the main differences between rapid versus regular. The regular or overnight solutions are the ones where the client will leave it on for 8 to 12 hours before rinsing. The tan will continue to develop after rinsing and will be fully developed in 24 hours. This is a great option for people who tan at night or don't have time to rinse their tan off during the day. A common misconception with clients is that they think leaving it on longer means that they'll be darker, but that is inaccurate. The tan won't get darker once it's been 12 hours. DHA has a limit, and once it's done reacting, extra time doesn't make a difference. If your client leaves it on longer than 12 hours, it can actually increase dryness on the skin, as DHA is naturally very drying. So sitting in it for too long can leave the skin feeling dehydrated, which we don't want. So make sure your clients know that they should always be rinsing within 12 hours. Next, rapid solutions are made with a higher percent of DHA that allows you to leave it on for less time. These are designed to be rinsed off sooner, usually between 2 to 4 hours, depending on how dark the client wants to be. The longer it stays on, the darker the final result will be. This is perfect for clients who don't want to sleep in their tan or have time to shower sooner. Something to note. Rapid tans are made for rapid rinse times, not rapid development times. They will still take 24 hours to be fully developed. So the main differences between rapid versus regular is when you can rinse. Another common misconception with rapid tans, some clients come in and have an event that night and want to do a rapid tan thinking that they will be tan that night, but they won't. So again, it's super important to educate your clients and set clear expectations so they're not upset or thinking it's your fault. Okay, now let's chat through how to choose your development time and when to use rapid versus regular. Choosing the development time is a key step when it comes to how tan your client is going to be once they're fully developed. Here are some questions I always ask every single client that will help you figure out what solution to choose and how long they should develop for. Number 1, you need to understand how tan they want to be. You should be asking every single client, new and old, what they're trying to achieve with this tan. Are they wanting a super bronze glow, or are they wanting something a little bit more subtle and light? Sometimes you gotta ask a lot of probing questions because some clients don't know how tan they wanna be, and it's your job to get to the bottom of it. When a client comes in, I am always asking what they're tanning for. This is a great first question because it tells you so much about what solution you might want to suggest. Let me explain. If a client comes in and tells me they're going on vacation to Hawaii, then that immediately tells me they're probably going to want to be darker than lighter. You tend to not look as tan in direct sunlight, so that's something to keep in mind if your client ever asks you for your opinion on how dark they should go. Now let's say that a different client comes in and she tells me that she's going to a work conference that will be held inside all day. This tells me she might not want a vacation level tan, but rather something a little bit more subtle and just a nice healthy glow. You tend to look darker when you're indoors, so that's another thing to keep in mind when helping clients decide on how tan they want to go. Another example, your client tells you what they're tanning for but has no idea how tan they want to be. I usually say we have light, medium, and dark levels so they can do whatever they want to do, but a great follow-up question to someone who doesn't know how tan they want to be is to ask if they spray tan regularly or use self-tanner often. This is a great question to ask newer clients because this will tell me a lot about what we should do. If a client tells me they've never had a spray tan or never put self-tanner on, that tells me that we should ease into this and not go very dark. If someone isn't used to seeing their skin tan, then I don't want to be the first place that freaks them out. I'll usually suggest going lighter for their first tan and then let them know we can always go darker next time if they want. And 9 times out of 10, they're always on board for this. Another great trick I found if someone is really unsure about what level tan they want, I'll ask them, are you going to be upset if you're too tan or are you going to be upset if you're not tan enough? This usually gets people every time. Based on what they say, I'll give my suggestion on what we're gonna do. Every time I come up with a suggestion, I always follow it up with, I'll take a note of what we did today and we can always adjust next time if you wanna be lighter or darker. Just remember, you are making suggestions based on information you are getting from your clients. And sometimes your client will tell you exactly what they want and you give that to them and it's not what they thought. So I always make sure that my clients know that everything is totally adjustable and we will find a perfect combination for them. It just might take a couple tries. So the first question is understanding the context of what the tan is for. The next question is how tan they want to be. And then lastly, you want to ask them how well they tan in the sun. If the client that's going to Hawaii says, oh, I don't tan very well in the sun, I burn super easy and never tan, that will tell you that you want to use a lower DHA percentage. But since she's going to Hawaii and wants a dark tan, you can have her leave that lower DHA percentage on for 8 to 12 hours so she can max out that level of tan. Can you see how asking those probing questions now brought us to deciding what level of DHA we're going to use and how long she's going to leave it on for? You need to know their desired level of tan combined with their skin tone to come up with the percentage and the development time. The next question I would ask is just confirming that their rinse time works for them. Let's say that the 8 to 12 rinse time doesn't work for your client and she needs to shower in 2 hours, then no problem. You're going to use a rapid tan that has a higher DHA percentage. You always want to make sure that you confirm the rinse time with their schedule or else you could wind up with an unhappy client. So best practice is to get in the habit of confirming before you even pour her solution. Okay, last and final step in choosing their solution is looking at their undertone. Sticking with the same Hawaii client example, she doesn't tan well in the sun, and let's say she has super fair skin with a hint of pink or red undertones. You have your DHA percentage chosen, you have your rinse time. The final customization piece is choosing the undertone of the solution. Since she has a red undertone, you are going to choose an olive solution base to cancel out her red undertones. Every client is going to be different with different skin types, different requests, and it's our job to take in all the information provided and come up with a game plan. This part of our job is really fun because it allows you to give advice to each client and tailor your skills to each individual. A lot of our job is super repetitive, but this part is always new and different, which makes it so fun. Lastly, let's talk about how many coats of spray tan we use for each client and how this is the final piece in customizing the perfect spray tan. This last step is really where you can take your customization a whole step further. The typical amount of spray tan solution we use per client is 1.5 to 2 ounces, which looks like 2 full coats on the body. And when I say coats, I mean spray tan passes. We are spraying the skin fully twice. 2 coats is our standard, but sometimes clients want a little extra on their legs or chest, so we will do 3 coats. And sometimes clients want a super light glow where we'll only do 1 coat on the skin. More coats can create a deeper, more dramatic result. However, more than 2 coats on the entire body is not recommended because the skin can easily get oversaturated and uneven. I only ever do more than 2 coats if a client specifically asks for it on a certain area like the legs or chest. If you ended up doing extra passes, let's say on the legs for example, my biggest tip is doing the full body in 2 coats like normal and then circling back to that area that they want their extra passes on. You want to make sure that the spray tan solution when applied isn't overly saturated and wet. There is such a thing as applying too much solution and it will start to drip. So do your normal routine first, and then once the body has time to dry, then go back and add a little bit more. Some artists charge more for extra passes. I personally don't because it's not super often that we get asked that, but charging more could be something you include in your listing. I would say that if you constantly have clients asking for more passes, they probably need to go up in DHA versus adding more solution onto the body. You should always be able to get your clients plenty dark just by using 2 coats of solution. I more often use less coats than I do more. A lot of our brides, for example, like a super light glow. So if they want a rapid tan, I'll spray them with only 1 layer of solution instead of 2. There are so many ways to customize your client's tan, and using more or less solution on the skin is that final little piece of customization. But there you have it, the perfect way to deliver flawless tans that are 100% customizable based on the DHA percentage, your client's skin tone and undertone, the development time, and how many coats you use. Now, let's dive into all things solution. Here, we're gonna cover all things solution, what your solution is made out of, how different ingredients can affect the tan, the average shelf life of solutions. We're gonna cover organic versus non-organic solutions, clear versus bronzer-based, products you can add into your solutions like shimmer, scents, and lastly, of course, we're gonna go over some of the top-rated spray tanning solutions on the market and break them down so that you have a starting point when it comes to choosing what solution you wanna carry. Starting us off, we're going to talk about why having a solid understanding of what's in your bottle is not only going to make you more of a confident artist, but it will allow you to educate your clients on a deeper level and ultimately build trust. The ingredients, especially the base, affect everything from how the solution feels and smells to how it absorbs into the skin. There are 6 different solution bases, but the first 3 that we'll cover are probably the most common. Number 1, water-based solutions. Water-based solutions use purified or deionized water as the primary base. Some of the benefits of using water as a base solution is they tend to be lightweight and quick drying. These are ideal for individuals with oily or combination skin because it leaves the skin with a non-greasy finish. Number 2, aloe-based solutions. Aloe-based solutions use aloe vera gel or extract as the base, providing soothing and moisturizing properties. Aloe vera is gentle on the skin and can help prevent streaking by keeping the skin evenly moisturized. This is ideal for clients with dry or sensitive skin. It's also my personal favorite. Number 3, alcohol-based. Alcohol-based solutions are primarily meant to help the tan dry quickly, apply evenly, and stay stable on the shelf. The trade-off is that they can be a bit more drying. If you're located in a humid climate, an alcohol base might work really well for you and your clients since it has that quick dry feel to it. Number 4, oil-based solutions. These use light oils such as coconut oil or argan oil as part of the base to create a very hydrating experience. These solutions are great for dry or mature skin due to the added moisture. However, due to its dewy, glowy finish, it may take longer to dry and can feel greasy for clients with oily skin. Number 5, tea-based solutions. Some brands use green tea, black tea, or herbal extracts as part of their base. And lastly, glycerin-based solutions. Glycerin, a plant-based humectant, is sometimes used as a base for a supplement to water or aloe. These solutions lock in moisture, help prevent uneven fading, and leaves the skin feeling smooth and hydrated. So those are the 6 most common solution bases, and the easiest way to figure out what solution base you are using is by looking at the ingredient list, and usually the first or second ingredient will be the base ingredient. There are some brands who don't post the full ingredient list, so you might have to do some digging if it's not easily available. When choosing the best solution base for you and your clientele, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but it's important to consider the climate where you're located. For example, if you're in a dry climate, an aloe or oil-based solution may work best. These formulas tend to be more hydrating and nourishing on the skin. On the other hand, if you're in a humid climate, a water or alcohol-based solution may be a better fit since these are typically lighter, dry faster, and help reduce the chance of the tan becoming sticky or uneven in more humid conditions. There are so many spray tanning solutions and combinations to choose from, so I would ultimately try a few different brands and maybe strategically try some different solution bases so that you can make the best decision for you and your clients. Like I mentioned earlier, knowing what is in your solutions is super important in building client trust. In my experience, when I'm talking to clients about the solutions that I carry, I talk about the fact that I use an aloe-based solution, which helps hydrate the skin and helps the tan last as long as possible. The more you know and can confidently speak about spray tanning and the solution you are using to your clients, the more successful you'll be. Next, let's quickly touch on the shelf life of solutions, which might not seem like a major deal, but you don't want to be using expired products on your clients. The average shelf life of all tanning solutions is 6 to 12 months once open and 12 to 18 months unopened. The shelf life depends on DHA freshness. DHA degrades over time, especially with exposure to heat, light, and air, so storage conditions are super important. You want to store your solution in a cool, dark place, ideally 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and never in a hot car or near windows. Signs your solution has expired: it smells off or sour, it has changed color, turns purple or grayish, it sprays unevenly or separates in the bottle, or the tans come out lighter than expected or fade strangely. As you get busier, inventory management can be a little bit tricky to predict because you don't want to have too much solution and have it go bad, but you also don't want to have not enough and run out when you really need it. My best advice is to go by seasons and try your best to forecast how busy you'll be. Once you get going and have 1 or 2 seasons under your belt, it will get easier to manage inventory. So now that you know what's inside your bottle and the average shelf life, let's talk about how the solution looks when applied. That's where bronzer versus clear solutions come in. When a client gets a spray tan from you, you can either use a clear solution or a bronzer solution. While they both contain DHA, they're going to show up differently and offer unique benefits. Clear solutions have no instant color when applied, so the tan develops clear or invisible. Whereas bronzer solutions contain a cosmetic bronzer which provides an instant glow and is mainly there just as a guide to help you as the artist see where you're spraying. DHA itself has no color, so a clear solution is just the same as any other solution, it just doesn't have that added bronzer in there. Now, the bronzer doesn't stain the skin, it will wash off during the first rinse while the real tan develops underneath. It will, however, transfer onto clothing while it's developing, but it won't stain your clothes, it washes out. For tans that are left on for 8 to 12 hours using a bronzer solution, you're gonna get super dark, and then when you rinse, you're gonna look normal. The reason for that is the DHA is developing underneath that cosmetic bronzer, so you appear darker right around that 8 to 12 hour mark. The opposite is true for rapid tans. You'll still see the initial bronzer on the skin, but then you're gonna wash that off in 2 to 4 hours and you will look like your tan has completely disappeared because you just rinsed off the bronzer. The tan itself still takes 24 hours to develop. Whenever I tan someone with a rapid solution, I always make sure to let them know that when they do their first rinse, it will look like they just washed their tan off. Again, I just want to reiterate the importance of educating your clients on exactly what they should expect after they get a tan with you, so they're not texting you or calling you upset about their tan. Like I just mentioned, bronzers will transfer onto clothing or sheets before the first rinse, and for that reason, some people prefer clear solutions so they don't have to worry about the bronzer rubbing off on their clothes. A clear solution is also really popular for brides for similar reasons, so they don't have to worry about anything rubbing off on their white clothing. Totally up to you whether you want to offer a clear solution or not. I have personally never had a client or bride have a negative experience with bronzer solutions, and at 7, we actually don't even offer a clear solution because I think it's more important that we're able to see what we're doing when tanning our clients. While you are in your solution testing phase, try a clear solution on a few people and see how it feels to tan them with it. If you do decide to start using a clear solution on clients, just make sure you have your technique down and that you are confident in tanning, since you will not be able to see where you are spraying them. Now let's dive into organic solutions. As we covered at the beginning, DHA is the active ingredient in every single spray tanning solution. However, a common question you will be asked time and time again is your solution organic? And here's what you need to know about organic solutions and how they differ from non-organic solutions. First and foremost, DHA itself is not an organic compound. It is derived from natural sources like sugar beets and sugarcane. However, the process to extract and stabilize DHA involves a chemical reaction. fermentation, and oxidation, meaning it is synthetically processed. Because of this processing, DHA does not meet the USDA organic standard, even though it originates from natural ingredients. So if you see a solution brand that says organic and it contains DHA, it is not certified organic. If a tanning solution contains 95% or more organic ingredients besides DHA, it can be labeled as organic. There is no spray tan solution that is 100% certified organic currently on the market that lasts as long as DHA. DHA is the only FDA approved ingredient that chemically reacts with the skin that creates a tan that lasts as long as 5 to 10 days. If your client asks you about it, you can say, DHA is a naturally derived compound, but because it undergoes a chemical process to be used in the tanning solution, it does not meet the strict definition of an organic ingredient. Okay, next on our list of solution topics, let's chat through spray tan solution add-ons and if they're worth the investment. You can totally level up your client's spray tan experience and your revenue through customizable add-ons. These are optional enhancements that can be mixed into your solution base and applied before or after to address specific needs and elevate results. They are also great for upselling and boosting your service value. I'm going to break these down into two categories. One category that you should definitely charge for and one that you should not charge for. Let's start with the add-ons I think you should charge for if you're going to offer them. Number 1, pH balancing spray. This is a pre-tan step applied before the solution. pH spray helps neutralize the skin's acid mantle, which is your skin's natural pH barrier. The spray also removes residue from soaps, lotions, or deodorants and creates a clean, balanced surface for the tan to absorb evenly. It can help prevent patchiness, streaks, or overdevelopment. A service you could offer instead of pH spray is a warm towel to gently wipe off deodorant, lotions, or body oils. This step adds a spa-like touch and might be less expensive for you and your client. I suggest that if you're going to offer pH balancing spray that you charge $5 or more, but if you choose to offer warm towels, you should probably offer that complimentary. Number 2, scent additives. These are scented drops like coconut, pineapple, or vanilla, and they are mixed into your solution to improve the post-tan smell. Some clients don't like the smell of spray tan, so this is a simple way to create a more luxurious experience for them. The suggested add-on price for this is $3 to $5. Number 3, shimmer drops. These are just as they sound. Shimmer or bronzing drops are added for a temporary glow. These will usually show up during the development period and then wash off in the first rinse. The suggested add-on price for these is probably around $3. Number 4, post-hydration spray. You might also find it called tan lock or moisture lock. This is great for clients with dry skin, clients who are getting married or going on vacation. Suggested add-on price for this is $5 to $10. Number 5, sweat-proof spray, also called barrier spray or sweat-resistant spray. This is another post-tan spray application that creates a lightweight, breathable barrier on the skin to help protect the tan from moisture, sweat, and transfer. It's especially helpful for clients who tan in hot weather, work out often, or are prone to sweating. The suggested add-on price for this is $5 to $10. Now let's chat through add-ons I personally would not charge for. Number 1, DH booster drops. Using DHA drops are a great way for you to increase the percentage of DHA without having to carry a whole nother level of solution. This is really nice to have as a backup if you sometimes need to boost a client's tan here or there. However, if you start using this often, that might be a sign that you need to carry a higher DHA percentage for your clientele. The reason why I wouldn't charge more for this is because it's more about delivering the depth of tan your client wants and not so much as adding an additional step. Number 2, color enhancers or undertone drops. So like we covered earlier when we went over how solutions come in different undertones, they also make drops you can add into solution that will shift the undertone of your solution. You would only ever really need to use this if, let's say, you fall in love with a solution brand that only comes in a brown base, but you want to still be able to customize your client's undertones. You can buy undertone drops to add into that solution so then you can customize it. Again, I wouldn't charge more for these since it's more about customizing the tan for your client. Lastly, finishing powder or drying powder. Finishing powder is applied after the tan to set the solution, reduce tackiness, and make the client feel dry and comfortable. Sometimes spray tan artists offer this as a separate add-on, but I personally think that it should be added into your routine as a mandatory step for every single client. I do not think you should charge extra for this, and I don't think it should be optional. Finishing powder not only helps dry the client, but it also helps with clothing transfer, and I actually think it's essential. At 7, we use baby powder as our finishing powder, but there are so many brands that sell finishing powder for you to choose from. So overall, these add-ons allow you to create an elevated, personalized experience for your clients while also increasing your average service price. For me personally, I like to keep things as simple as possible, and especially as you're just starting out, it can be super overwhelming to get all the things you need and figure out what you're gonna offer and what you're not gonna offer. So just know you don't need to offer any of these additional services to be a successful luxury spray tan artist. The main service is the spray tan and the solution that you are using. Once you get that nailed down and feel confident in the actual solution you're using, then branch out and start testing these add-ons and feel out if they make sense for your business. Another aspect to keep in mind when thinking about offering add-ons is the added time it will take you and the added storage they require. So just make sure to take those into account as well. All right, lastly, let's go over some of the most popular spray tan solutions and what they're made out of. Okay, for this section, I wanted to do an update. I'm actually in my studio right now, and I wanted to update this solution section because since recording the training that you are watching right now, I have done so much research and tested out a lot more solutions. So I wanted to do a quick update. I actually, a couple months ago, took a poll on my TikTok and asked spray tan artists all over what solutions were their favorites, and I got so many comments. I got solutions that I've heard of before and solutions that I had never heard of before, and I loved this feedback because it's like what people are actually using and loving. So the top 5 solutions that people were loving were Glaze Sunless, Nuda, Alt Tan, Bronze Me Baby, and X Tan. So I actually took every single solution that was commented and put them into an Excel spreadsheet so that we can all see very nice and clear what solutions everyone is loving. And that is linked in the PDF workbook. If you are on the solution page, it should say solution guide. So if you click that, it will take you to this Excel spreadsheet that has every single solution, and it's linked. So you have to just click a button and you can go to their website and check them out. My biggest tip in terms of what solutions you should carry is you should test at least 3 to 5 solutions and honestly go with what you love. That is the beauty about owning your own business, is you get to choose what you carry. I honestly feel like what you love, your clients are gonna love. You know what's popular in your area. If you live in a super sunny climate and people are tan and bronze, like you're gonna wanna be tan and bronzed. Or if you live in Seattle like me and people aren't really that tan and people want more of a natural glow, like you're gonna know the pulse, you're gonna know what people are wanting. And if you don't, that's okay. I would still suggest going with what you like and then pivoting from there. If clients give you feedback and say, I'm really wanting a darker tan, great, you can pivot. You can start to include spray tans and solutions that are a little bit darker and so forth. So my biggest tip is try as many solutions as you can. I know that can be a little bit overwhelming because you're just starting out and you have so much to test and so much to figure out, but honestly, your solutions and what you carry is probably the number one thing that you need to be making sure that you feel so confident about, and just, that is the crux of your business. So it's super important. That wraps up the updated solution section. I hope this was super helpful. Go check out the solution guide. I promise it makes it so much easier to just find solutions. Now we're gonna head into talking about working with clients. Let's get into it. This might be the most important section that we cover because your clients are your business. How you handle feedback, how you make clients feel, and how you cultivate a space that is welcoming and comfortable is what will ultimately set you apart from other businesses. I truly cannot emphasize this enough. Client experience is number one in terms of growing your business. If you want people driving hours out of their way to come see you, it's not going to be because of your killer marketing strategy or the number of followers you have. It'll be because of the reputation you have from what your clients say about you. Yes, the art of spray tanning is important. Marketing and social media are very important, but the client experience and relationship, in my opinion, are just as important, if not more. This is where spray tanning becomes more than just a service, and it becomes a business that is centered around making sure that every single client who walks into your space leaves happier and more confident than when they walked in. In this section, we're going to cover how your client should prep before they come in, what your client is responsible for versus what you as their artist are responsible for, tanning different skin conditions, and how to problem solve, and then lastly, how you can create a comfortable environment for each client. Let's first dive into how clients need to prep their skin before coming to you. Spray tanning is one of the only services where proper prep is non-negotiable. Because DHA only sits on the very top layer of the skin, prepping the skin beforehand is crucial. The skin must be clean, balanced, free of product, and properly exfoliated to allow the solution to absorb evenly and develop correctly. That's why educating your clients on skin prep is so important. Let's break down what your clients need to be doing to prep before coming in for their tan. Every single client needs to shower, exfoliate, shave, and moisturize 24 hours before their appointment. We're going to break down the whys behind each of these steps. Number 1, showering. There are a few reasons why your clients need to be showering 24 hours before their appointment. Their skin needs time to rebalance. Right after a shower, especially if you've exfoliated or shaved, your skin's pH level is temporarily disrupted. It needs time to return to its natural balanced state, which is essential for DHA development. Showering too close to your tan can lead to patchy or even lighter tans. And secondly, your pores stay open after you shower. When you shower, especially with hot water, your pores open up. If you tan too soon after, the solution can settle unevenly, dot inside the pores, giving the skin that speckled look. Giving your skin a full 24 hours allows the pores to close naturally. Next, and dare I say the most important prep step, is exfoliating. Many clients think exfoliating means using a loofah or rubbing in a sugar scrub with their hands, but that is not going to do the job. The only way to truly exfoliate the skin is with an exfoliating mitt. The mitt allows you to really scrub off dead or dry skin and ensures that the solution applies evenly and fades naturally. 9 times out of 10, the reason people have uneven tans is because they did not properly exfoliate or they missed a spot when they were exfoliating. If you don't properly exfoliate and you have dry skin on your body, the DHA will cling to that dry skin more and it will look uneven. Number 3, moisturizing. Spray tans stick best to healthy, hydrated skin. Just like with exfoliating the dry skin off, you want to make sure that your skin is moisturized and not dry. Dry skin will be the death of a good spray tan. This is another area where people can mess up their tan because a lot of people just don't moisturize regularly. I always emphasize this in my pre-care emails that clients should start moisturizing at least 3 to 4 days before their appointment so that their skin is hydrated. Now, the kicker with moisturizing is that you don't need to be moisturizing the day of your tan because it can create a barrier for the spray tan to absorb on the top layer of your skin. This is why we recommend prepping your skin and moisturizing 24 hours beforehand so that your moisturizer can fully absorb into your skin. The only time I recommend my clients to moisturize the day of is if they have naturally very dry skin. For example, clients with eczema who wake up on the day of their appointment dry can definitely apply another layer of moisturizer. I just recommend that they moisturize a few hours before so that, again, the moisturizer can fully absorb into their skin because we don't want to create a barrier for the spray tan. Number 4, shaving. Shaving isn't required because not everyone shaves their legs or underarms, but if they do, they need to shave 24 hours beforehand because it is a form of exfoliation. You do not want your clients shaving too close to their tan appointment because shaving can leave microabrasions on the skin, making it more sensitive and prone to uneven development, especially on your legs and underarms. I always recommend my clients to wait as long as possible after their tan to shave their legs so that their tan lasts longer. If they must shave, they can do so very gently with soap. If your client gets wax, we recommend they do that 24 to 48 hours before their appointment. Okay, that was all the things your client needs to do before. Now let's go over what your client needs to do on the day of their appointment and what they should wear. On the day of their appointment, clients should arrive clean, product-free. That includes no perfumes or deodorants. If your client has deodorant on, it will turn the solution on their skin green. If this happens, it's not the end of the world, but it will probably show up on their skin for the first few days and then start to fade. This is where offering your clients a warm towel to wipe off their skin would come in handy. Next, your client needs to either bring a change of clothes or wear their post-tan outfit, which should be dark, loose clothing with slip-on shoes or flip-flops. Fitted clothing doesn't allow your skin to breathe, and sweating can cause the developing tan to break down in certain areas, leading to splotchiness, so wearing the right clothes is key. Okay, now that they have prepped their skin and have come to their appointment with clean skin and brought the right clothes to wear, they need to develop in their tan for however long you decide. During that development time, they cannot get wet or else the tan will be uneven in those areas. Getting wet includes washing their hands, spilling water on themselves, crying, sweating, getting licked by an animal, or even going to the bathroom and not being careful. If you Catch my drift. I have heard of every mess up possible, and these are probably the most common. Once you tan your client and they leave your studio, it is on them to stay dry. If someone does majorly spill on themselves, you can assess the situation and either have them buff it out with a towel or a makeup brush, or you can have them shower earlier to stop the rest of their body from developing. But depending on the severity, it might ruin the tan in that area, and there's nothing you can really do about that. So make sure to emphasize the importance of staying dry while their tan is developing. Okay, now that they have developed, it is time for them to shower. This is a very crucial step because if they don't rinse thoroughly, leftover bronzer can dry on the skin and leave streaks. The first rinse should be done with just warm water, no soap, and their hands. I always make sure to tell my clients they need to touch every single part of their body to make sure that all the bronzer is completely off. Some clients think it's a quick in and out process, but it's really not. I want my clients to take their time and make sure they're being thorough and that they're checking every inch of their body so there's no more brown water coming off. Once the water is running clear, they can hop out and pat dry with their towel. Lastly, once they're out of the shower, they can moisturize, and then they will need to moisturize daily, if not twice a day. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this course, DHA itself is naturally drying to the skin, so moisturizing daily afterwards is key in maintaining a flawless tan and helping it fade evenly as the week goes. If someone complains to you that their tan faded badly, that is probably a key indicator that they did not moisturize enough or drink enough water. Okay, we just covered every aspect of the pre and post tan care that is 100% on your clients to do. In a service-based industry, our instinct is often to immediately apologize when a client isn't happy, especially as something personal as a spray tan. It's easy to feel like the responsibility falls entirely on us, but one thing I've come to deeply understand is that spray tanning is a very unique service. Unlike many other beauty services, the results depend heavily on what the client does before and after the appointment. The outcome of the tan is 70% on the client and 30% on the artist. So with that being said, let's go over everything that you as the artist are responsible for. While your client plays the biggest role in how their spray tan wears and fades, your 30% matters just as much, especially when it comes to experience, education, and execution. Here's what you're responsible for as the professional. Number one, educating your clients. Your job begins before your client even steps foot in your studio. You're responsible for clearly communicating pre-care and aftercare instructions so they know exactly what to expect, what to avoid, and how to prep their skin for the best possible results. Don't assume that just because a client has had a spray tan before that they know the proper pre and post care steps. You'd be surprised to find out how many avid spray tanners don't actually know how to take care of their tans properly. I try to make sure that my skin prep instructions are everywhere for a potential new client to read. They are listed front and center on my website, on my link tree, on my booking site, and I have automated emails that go out to every new client that has the full prep and post tan care. It should not be hard for your clients to find what to do before they come in. Some clients who are newer to spray tanning sometimes assume that spray tans are invincible and that they're gonna last for a month, so I always go over aftercare at the end of every tan in person so I can set very clear expectations in case they didn't read it on my website or email. Going over aftercare in depth allows for one, every client new and experienced to be educated in how spray tans actually work. Two, less angry clients texting you asking why their tan is patchy or faded quicker than they hoped. And lastly, a higher client retention rate. The next thing you are responsible for is client consultation. Choosing the right solution is a science and an art. It is your job to understand the client's skin tone, undertone, and desired result. Ask the right questions. Are they tanning for an event? Do they want a natural or dark tan? And then use your expertise to confidently recommend the perfect shade and undertone for them. Next is the actual application, and this one's obvious but important. Your technique should be flawless, thoughtful, and custom to every client's body type and skin. You're responsible for ensuring even application, proper drying time, and attention to detail, especially on tricky areas like hands, elbows, and feet. Next, taking detailed notes. Since you are custom blending their solution, undertone, and development time, taking a note of exactly what you did and noting anything unusual that happened during the tan is crucial to delivering exceptional customer service. And I mentioned taking notes of anything unusual because, for example, some clients come in with super dry skin, and after you you tan them, you can educate them on what they could have done differently for next time. But I always like to make a note of that interaction just so that when they come in again, I can readdress it and make sure that they prepped better. It also comes in handy for, let's say, if they text you saying that their tan faded poorly, you now have a note in there that states that when you tan them, they were dry. Taking notes helps you not only remember what solution and development time you did, but it also helps you stay organized when dealing with client issues and following up professionally. Lastly, being available for troubleshooting. Stuff happens. Even with the best prep and perfect application, clients may text you with questions like, "Hey, my legs look a little streaky after my first rinse. Is that normal?" Being able to respond promptly and confidently goes a long way in building trust. You don't have to be available 24/7, but responding during business hours in a timely, professional manner is part of the job. Boundaries are healthy, but clients shouldn't feel ghosted when they need quick guidance. There are many factors that influence whether a spray tan develops evenly, lasts long, or looks flawless. Even if you know you delivered a perfect tan in studio, your job is to dig deeper and troubleshoot with confidence and care. Ask the right questions. Don't immediately assume it was your fault, and don't assume it was theirs either. Instead, approach it with curiosity. Your goal is to gather enough context to understand the full picture and then educate them on how to improve their prep and aftercare moving forward. Some key questions you might ask right off the bat are, did you exfoliate before your tan? What did you use to exfoliate? And how often did you moisturize? And then I always ask for photos. Visuals are everything. People often describe things inaccurately, and when they say uneven, it might actually be dry skin or improper rinsing. When you can see the issue, you're much better equipped to offer real guidance. Sometimes, if it's a more complicated issue to describe over text, I will give my clients a quick call to describe what I think happened. And trust me when I tell you, your clients will so appreciate you taking the time to call and explain what you think happened and how they can avoid that going forward. Overall, you are responsible for providing a great experience from the moment they book their tan, during the tan itself, and then following up after to check in on how they liked their tan. Now let's chat through what to do when you've made a mistake. While spray tanning is a collaborative process between artist and client, if something went wrong on your end, it's your job to make it right. Issues due to your technique could include hands that are uneven, wrists or feet that are too dark, missed areas or patchiness from inconsistent application, or a tan that developed too light or too dark due to poor consultation. If any of those things occur, then it's your responsibility to own the mistake and fix it professionally. Depending on the situation, here are a few ways to resolve it. You can offer a complimentary tan, offer 50% off their next session, or offer a quick touch-up. Side note, I do not recommend spray tanning over a tan unless the original tan developed extremely light and the client is returning within 24 hours. However, even then, it is a last resort. Layering solutions can dry out the skin and lead to buildup, blotchiness, or unnatural color. Client feedback isn't just about fixing the issue, it's an opportunity to get better. Here's what to do if you're struggling with a specific technique. Practice on friends and family until it feels second nature. Record yourself tanning and analyze your own flow and positioning. Ask a mentor or fellow artist for honest feedback and solutions. This industry is hands-on and mistakes happen. What separates the pros from the amateurs is how you respond. Own it, fix it, learn it. Don't take it personally. It's easy to internalize complaints even when it's not your fault. When these client issues come up, stay calm and professional, validate the client's experience, and focus on problem solving, not spiraling. Always document the issue. If a client has a complaint, especially a serious one, take a note of it in their file. This creates clarity for the future and helps protect your business. Now, before we wrap up this section, I want to go over some photo examples that show some common examples of client-caused issues. In this photo, you can see a client did not exfoliate the back of her arms, and this is how the tan was sitting on her skin immediately after she was spray tanned. If you see something like this, it should tell you that they have either super dry skin or they didn't properly exfoliate all the way. In this example, I would tell your client what you are seeing and then educate them on how they can do better next time so this doesn't happen. Here you can see she has watermarks down her legs, indicating that she did not rinse off properly. The cosmetic bronzer was still dripping off of her when she got out of the shower to dry off. If a client texts you this in a panic, you can advise them to hop back in the shower and continue to rinse off the bronzer. This is a photo of a client who had a sunburn and then came in for a spray tan. Wherever the skin is peeling, the spray tan will come right off with it. At 7, we will still spray tan someone with a sunburn as long as they know what to fully expect. Other common client cause issues you'll see are people who use retinol on their face and bring it down their neck. If it's a high concentration, then you will instantly see that the tan is not going to lay properly on the skin. In this example, I'll tell my client what I'm seeing and then try to buff it out with a blending brush as best as I can so that it doesn't develop blotchy on their neck. Remind your clients to pause any retinol or chemical exfoliants at least 3 to 4 days before their spray tan. These products cause the skin to shed more quickly and can lead to uneven, blotchy results. Most client complaints about uneven tans are actually client prep related, but if the issue's on the hands, wrists, ankles, elbows, or feet, that's almost always on the artist. Okay, that wraps up the client prep and responsibility section. Now let's move on to tanning different skin conditions and what to do when issues arise. Spray tanning real people means working with real skin, and it won't always be perfect. Being able to confidently tan clients with unique skin conditions or sensitivities will set you apart as a true professional. Here's a breakdown of skin types and conditions you're likely to encounter. First, let's go over eczema or psoriasis. What you'll notice is inflamed or scaly patches, especially around joints or the stomach. With this, the tan can develop darker or flake off faster in those areas. Here's what you can do when they come in for a tan. Have them put on more barrier cream on those drier areas so that the spray tan blends better and doesn't stick to the dry spots. Spray lightly over the affected areas or avoid them completely if the skin is broken, and emphasize moisturizing. Next, tinea versicolor. This is a common fungal infection that affects the skin's pigmentation. It often appears as small discolored patches that may be lighter or darker than the surrounding skin. These patches can be flat and typically appear on the chest, back, or shoulders. And here's what makes it tricky for spray tans. Tinea versicolor is photosensitive, meaning it often becomes visible only after sun exposure or spray tanning. The fungus affects how the melanin, or in our case, DHA, absorbs into the skin. So the kicker is, clients don't even often know that they have this because it's not visible under normal conditions. But once the tan develops, the discolored patches appear as lighter or completely untanned where the DHA couldn't absorb. You likely won't be able to detect tinea versicolor at the time of the appointment. It's one of those conditions that only reveals itself after the tan has fully developed, leading to uneven or patchy looking results that is no fault of yours or the client's. If this happens, you'll want to educate your client kindly and professionally, explain that this is caused by a common skin fungus and not due to poor application or lack of prep. Let them know that there are topical treatments available over the counter or through a dermatologist to treat the fungus and even out their skin tone. If you see patchiness after development that doesn't look like dry skin or exfoliation, keep tinea versicolor in mind. Next, vitiligo. This is a condition where skin loses pigment in patches. What happens with spray tanning? The tan will develop unevenly, darker in pigmented areas and lighter in others. You can ask the client how they want to proceed. Some want the tan to even everything out. Others want to avoid tanning the unpigmented areas. You can lightly buff solution over lighter patches to reduce the contrast, but full coverage is unlikely. You'll want to avoid layering too much product. It can look unnatural or orange. You want to be gentle, ask questions, and don't assume they want the lighter areas tanned. Next, keratosis pilaris. What you'll often notice is bumpy, textured skin on the arms, thighs, or cheeks. What can happen with spray tanning is the solution can cling to those bumps and develop darker. What you can do is use a lighter pass over these areas, avoid layering or spraying too heavily, let the tan develop evenly and naturally, and recommend using a gentle exfoliant, not a harsh scrub, between tans to help maintain texture. Lastly, melasma or hyperpigmentation. This is hormonal or sun-induced dark patches, often on the face or chest. What happens with spray tanning is the DHA can darken in these spots even more. What you can do is use cool tone or olive-based solutions to help balance undertones, and recommend using a barrier cream over the areas if they want to avoid deepening the pigmentation. In general, you never want to spray over broken skin, wounds, or infection. You want to make sure any wound is fully covered with a band-aid or clothing. Now let's dive into some internal factors and hormonal influences that can affect the tan. The skin is a living, dynamic organ, and what's happening inside the body, from hormones to medications, can absolutely impact how a spray tan develops and fades. As a spray tan artist, understanding this helps you educate your clients and set realistic expectations. Some of the hormonal influences are your menstrual cycle. Clients who are on their period or approaching it may experience tans that develop lighter or fade faster and may have skin that's drier or more sensitive. This is due to shifting hormone levels, particularly estrogen and progesterone, which affect hydration, pH, and barrier function of the skin. So if a client says, "My tan didn't last as long as it usually does," ask gently if they were on their cycle. It's more common than people realize. Pregnancy is another major hormonal shift that can often lead to dry and sensitive skin and a tendency toward blotchy or uneven tans. Even if they've had spray tans in the past, their results may look different during pregnancy. Now, some internal factors: antibiotics and medications. Certain medications, especially antibiotics, acne treatments, or hormonal meds like birth control, can change the client's skin cell turnover, oil production, and the skin's ability to hold the tan. Sometimes the tan may not take it all or fade unevenly. Antibiotics in particular can affect the skin's barrier and pH levels, which then affects DHA absorption. Stress, illness, and dehydration can also affect DHA. If a client is sick, recovering from illness, or highly stressed, their body's inflammatory response can change how the skin reacts. You may see patchy development, faster fading, and more sensitive reactions. If a client has a reaction like they're itchy, rashy, irritated, or have hives, have them wash the tan off immediately with cool water and a gentle cleanser. Advise them to contact their dermatologist or primary care doctor if the reaction continues or worsens. And as always, you are going to document the reaction in their client profile and consider doing a patch test before ever reapplying again on their skin. All right, as we wrap up this section, let's go over creating a comfortable and welcoming environment for your clients. In the spray tanning industry, how you make someone feel matters just as much, if not more, than the spray tan itself. From the moment they walk in, throughout their appointment, and as they leave, your energy, language, and presence shapes their entire experience. Spray tanning is a vulnerable service. Clients are often undressed, exposed, and standing completely naked in front of a stranger, many for the first time. As professionals, we must approach every session with deep empathy, emotional awareness, and intentionality. You're not just giving someone bronze skin, you are giving them confidence. And confidence begins with how safe, seen, and respected they feel. Women of all shapes, sizes, ages, and backgrounds are going to walk through your door. Many carry insecurities, body image struggles, or trauma, and it's your job to help them not feel judged, analyzed, or on display. Instead, they should leave your studio feeling empowered, beautiful, and uplifted. Some non-negotiables in creating a safe space are: number one, never comment on someone's body. This might feel counterintuitive at first, especially if your instinct is to give compliments, but not commenting on a client's body is one of the most powerful ways to create a safe and luxury experience. Here's why it matters. Your clients are often standing in front of you in minimal clothing. Even if you think you're giving a harmless compliment like, "I love your tattoos," or "You're so toned," it subconsciously reminds them that their body is being looked at and evaluated. Even positive comments can trigger thoughts like, "If she noticed my arms, is she noticing my stomach too? If she likes my tattoos, what about my cellulite?" By maintaining a neutral professional energy and keeping the conversation away from their body, you're signaling to them, "I'm here to provide a service and not evaluate you." The more a client feels fully safe and unjudged, the more likely they are to return and refer friends. Instead of body-focused comments, shift the conversation to experience-focused dialogue. Ask things like, "Do you have anything fun planned after this tan develops?" This keeps the energy positive, light, and client-centered without ever drawing attention to their body. Next, avoid skin comments mid-tan. This follows the same thought process as number one. If you notice a skin condition or prep issue, wait until the client is dressed before bringing it up. Never call attention to flaws during the tan itself. Your intention may be good, but the impact matters more. Lastly, no politics, no hot takes. Even if you feel strongly about something, this is not the time or place. Your goal is to create a peaceful, positive space, not a debate stage. Keep conversations focused on your client, their life, and lighthearted connections. Of course, be yourself, but be self-aware too. Creating a welcoming experience goes beyond a flawless technique. It's in the energy, the environment, and the small touches that make your studio feel like a sanctuary. Everything should feel clean, calm, elevated, and thoughtfully prepared. Here are some practical ways that enhance comfort, ease, and luxury for my clients. Black silk robes. Clients are welcomed with soft, black silk robes to change into before we begin. This gives them time to ease in, settle down, and feel confident and covered while we chat, rather than feeling immediately exposed. It sets the tone of care and class right away. We always step out of the room so that they can change in privacy and then come back in when they're ready. Next, scent is everything. A candle, essential oil diffuser, or a subtle plug-in scent makes your room not only smell fresh, but also welcoming. Next, curated music. Music fills the silence and sets the tone and helps ease any nerves. Next, cleanliness. Spray tans can get very messy very quickly, but your studio should never feel that way. Between every client, we're wiping down the floors, the tent is freshened or replaced, towels are swapped out, and any clutter is put away. Ask yourself, what would you have in your studio if your goal was to make this the best interaction your client has had all day? This mindset shift allows you to lead with intentionality so you can create repeat clients, glowing reviews, and real community. Now, before we get into the actual art of spray tanning, where I show you step by step how I tan every client, I first want to go over your in-studio supplies and give you a checklist for everything you'll need to start tanning. These are items you should have on you for every mobile tan and in your studio. Barrier cream. You want your clients to apply this to their hands, feet, elbows, and knees to prevent overdevelopment in dry or porous areas. Disposable thongs. This is optional for your clients to wear since some clients do prefer to go completely nude. Hair nets. These prevent overspray from getting into their hair. Feet protection. You can either offer sticky feet pads that stick to the soles of their feet or use craft paper as a way to protect the bottom of your client's feet from getting tanner on them. Black towels. These are going to be used for laying down on the floor of wherever you are tanning. Water-based baby wipes. These are used for wiping off the palms of your client's hands and their nails after you tan them. Drying powder or finishing powder. This sets the tan and reduces post-tan stickiness. A soft, fluffy brush, ideal for applying finishing powder. Masks. These are optional for you to wear, but highly recommended if you have a high volume spray tan day. A blending brush. These are used to smooth out hands, wrists, and feet post-tan. Gloves. Always use nitrile to avoid staining your hands and to stay hygienic. Brush cleaner. Keep your brushes clean and sanitized between clients. For artists operating in a fixed studio location, these added elements elevate the client experience and will improve your workflow. A spray tan wall or backdrop. These are going to prevent overspray and creates a professional spray tan area. These are a game changer for not only studio aesthetics, but in maintaining a clean environment. I personally use the Spray-Gon extraction wall, and I couldn't say enough good things about them. Next, an air purifier. These help overspray and improve air quality, especially in small or enclosed rooms. Next, you'll need a cabinet or shelving for products. This keeps things organized, clean, and visually polished. I personally like to have any products that I'm selling in a closed cabinet because they will get covered with spray tan solution if left out in the open. A mat under the extraction system. This protects your floors and makes cleanup easier. And lastly, microfiber towels. These are great for wiping down walls, floors, and tent surfaces. If you're on the go, portability and efficiency are key. These items make it easier to tan anywhere. A pop-up tent, aka your mobile spray tan booth. An extractor fan. This helps pull solution particles from the air to reduce overspray. I usually use this when I have parties of 3 or more people. My favorite extraction fan is called the Wave. Extension cords. These are essential when outlets aren't nearby. I always keep them in my kit. An industrial clamp light. Lighting is everything. This ensures you can see clearly no matter the room's lighting. I get my clamp lights from Home Depot and they're under $15. A makeup case or rolling cart. These are great for organizing your gun, solution, powders, brushes, etc. Make setup and tear down fast. I have everything listed above that I personally use linked on my Shop My site and my Amazon storefront so you can easily add everything you need from there. Now let's get into choosing the right spray tan machine and how to set up your equipment and maintain it. Now you and your spray tan machine are going to become very close, and it is important that you understand how they work and what machine is going to best suit you. Here are some of the most reputable HVLP spray tan machines in the industry. You'll see HVLP on a lot of machines, and that just stands for high volume, low pressure. Number 1, Fuji spray tan machine. They are known for their powerful turbine systems and durability. Great for both beginners and advanced artists. Fuji offers both metal and plastic spray tan guns. These machines start at $429 on the lower end and can go up to $950. Number 2, Norvell. They also offer HVLP machines as well as solutions like we covered earlier. The M1000 is popular with mobile spray tan artists because it's super lightweight but also durable and can withstand a high volume. These machines start at $370 and come with just a plastic gun. The M1000 is what we use at our studio and I personally love them. The only complaint I have is that they're ugly, but other than that, they work amazing. Number 3, Maxi Mist. Budget friendly and lightweight, but slightly less durable long-term because it has a smaller motor. These machines start at $210, and fun fact, this is the machine that Isabel, the owner of Dolce Glow, uses on all her celebrity clients. And she loves it. And lastly, the Apollo, another solid professional option. They offer quiet motors and sleek studio-friendly builds. This machine starts at $390. I wanted to give you some options with different price points, but generally they're all around $300 to $400. Overall, I would probably go with either a Fuji or a Norvell. They are both very well known and have been tried and tested by many artists. If you are 100% positive that you're gonna do mobile tans, then maybe go with the Norvell machine because it's a lot more lightweight. That's not to say that you shouldn't get the Fuji one. I know plenty of artists who offer mobile tans and use the Fuji machine, but just know that it is a little bit heavier. The next thing I wanted to point out was the difference in metal guns versus plastic guns. A lot of artists use metal guns, but for me personally, they really hurt my hands, especially on high volume days because they're heavier and bulkier. I much prefer a plastic gun, but again, that's just my opinion. Fuji offers both plastic and metal, so if you wanted options, then Fuji might be a great option for you. Whichever machine you go with, you do need to order 2 of them. You should always have a backup machine on you at all times, as well as a gun and a hose. You never know when it could just die or stop working randomly, and it would be so tragic if you were fully booked and then had to cancel everyone because you didn't have a backup. I not only keep a spare machine at my studio, but I also take one with me on every single mobile tan that I do. Next, let's talk about contour machines. Contour applicators are smaller, detail-oriented guns used specifically for body contouring, like face contouring, shading abs, enhancing collarbones, and defining muscle tone. These are not for full body spray tans, but they allow you to add dimension to your tans when used correctly. Some brands like Fuji offer separate contour guns that attach to your machine, where other contour applicators are smaller, separate machines that are battery operated. Offering contouring can be great for upselling services. This one right here is the Bronze Boss Contour Pro, and it's only $90. All right, now let's get into how your gun works and how to properly clean it for the best maintenance. There are 2 ways you can set your gun to spray, vertical or horizontal. When the nozzle is turned horizontally, the solution sprays in a vertical fan, perfect for horizontal passes across the body. When the nozzle is turned vertically, the solution sprays in a horizontal fan, great for up and down movements. I'm going to teach you how to spray tan horizontally with a few passes that are vertical. You don't ever need to change the direction of your nozzle during the application process. With slight tilts of your wrist and motion, you can achieve a vertical spray tan with a horizontal setting. We'll get into the techniques in just a moment, but since we're chatting through gun settings, there are a few more things I wanted to point out. Solution flow and air pressure. There is a knob near the lower part of the gun that controls how much solution comes out. This allows you to increase flow for faster, more saturated spray or decrease the flow for lighter coverage or layering. I personally have my air pressure slightly in the middle. I don't want too much solution coming out that it's uncontrollable, but at the same time, I need enough for it to show up and be visible. The knob on your gun should stay in place for the most part, but if you're traveling and doing mobile tans here and there, it could move slightly from appointment to appointment. As you start tanning more regularly, you'll be able to tell when your gun pressure feels off or just needs a little readjusting. This is something that is really quick and easy to do, even if you're in the middle of tanning a client. To set up your gun and get it ready to tan, you want to make sure that this rubber seal is completely flat around the inside of your gun. If it's not flat and there are some air gaps, the gun will start to leak. If you start your tan and it does start to leak, just pause momentarily and unscrew your gun, press the rubber ring down with a baby wipe or a paper towel. Next, you need to place your straw in. You want to make sure you are always angling it away so that when you're holding your gun and tipping it forward, the straw is placed perfectly to gather the solution in the bottom of your cup. Once your gun is put together, you want to fill up your cup to about 4 ounces. You don't need to fill it up all the way to the top since you're only going to be using about 1.5 to 2 ounces. Make sure that when you have your solution filled that you don't turn the gun upside down or too far on the side when tanning because your gun's going to start to leak and your straw won't be able to suck up the solution if it's turned too far to either side. Best practice is always holding your gun upright and making micro movements to either side when you need to get a different angle on the body. Next, let's go over cleaning your gun. At the end of every day, you should be flushing your gun with warm water to prevent solution buildup. I take everything apart and rinse water through the entire gun until the water is running clear. Then I set it aside on a towel to fully dry overnight so it's ready to use the next day. You should never fully submerge your gun in water because it can create internal damage. Most spray tan guns have internal electrical parts, seals, and air passages that aren't designed to be waterproof. You also want to avoid leaving solution in the cup overnight because it can clog your gun. Best practices are to keep everything clean after every day to ensure you get the most out of your equipment. Okay, we are finally ready to go over the actual art of spray tanning. We will be covering all things application, what a true luxury spray tan experience looks like from start to finish, and how to deliver it consistently with confidence and professionalism. Whether this is your first tan or your 100th, your confidence behind the gun is everything. This section will give you the techniques, the structure, and the mindset to deliver flawless results and make every client feel safe. For this demo, we will be using all the items that you would bring to a mobile appointment. We have our tent, towel, lighting equipment, and rolling case, which houses all of our solution and tools that we need. When I first get to a mobile appointment, I like to make sure that one, there's enough space for the tent, because not only is it tall, but it's also fairly wide. And second, you need to make sure that there is an outlet. Now that we have those two things here, here is how you pop up your spray tan tent. The tent is made of wire, so you'll need to kind of manhandle it when you're popping it up, and the popping noise is totally normal. Let me show you. Ta-da! Next, you're gonna place your towel down so that your clients aren't slipping inside the tent when you start to spray. Next, I'm gonna attach my light and plug in my extension cord. Due to the limited space in my kit, I actually detach the hose every time to fit it in there. So now I'm gonna pop it back on, and you can do so by pulling this back lever back and then snapping the hose back on. Like that. Now I'm gonna place these sticky feet down so they're super easy for my clients to step on. Now we're gonna pour our solution into our cup, and just a reminder, you always wanna shake your solution before using it. Once I'm done pouring the solution, then I get my supplies ready for anything I might need during the tan and immediately after. I like to have my garbage bag set out just so that I can throw things away during the tan and make sure that my space is tidy. Okay, once everything is set, I'm then gonna give my client her hairnet and make sure her ears are out. Okay, now that she's all ready to be tan, I'm gonna have her step right on these sticky feet and start facing away from me because I'm gonna start on her back. You want to let your client know that the sticky feet move with your feet so that they can pick them up like normal. No need for them to drag their feet. Now, before we start, I always remind every client that while we're tanning, they should never put their arms down or touch themselves. And especially if you're tanning someone who is brand new and never had a spray tan before, it is super important that they know they cannot put their arms down. They always need to be out like this. Now, starting on her back is an intentional starting point. I personally think that more people are comfortable starting away from you when they're completely topless. So this is a way for them to get comfortable and warmed up before I have her turn and face me. Okay, as we start on her back, you want to stand right at the edge of the tent and have them be in the middle. You're gonna be 6 to 10 inches away from the body. Now, since we're spray tanning horizontally, you wanna make sure that her arms are fully together, elbows touching. We are gonna break the entire body into sections. So section 1 is going to be from the top of her neck to the top of her underwear. If your client is standing straight and she has creases on the side of her hips, you want to make sure that there are not creases when you're tanning them. So instead of having her stand straight, you're going to ask them to elongate their back and arch their neck down. In this position, you're gonna tan their back like normal and making sure that you're gonna dry her creases really well before you have her stand back up. Now, since she doesn't have any creases, I'm gonna have her stand straight just for the sake of this video. Okay, to attach the gun to the hose, it's similar to attaching it to the machine. You're gonna pull this back, snap it on like that. Now, before I turn this on, it is going to be extremely loud. I'm going to try to talk as loud and as eloquently as possible, but bear with me if it's a little bit loud. When you turn the machine on, before you start spraying the body, you always, before every single tan, want to do a few test sprays off to the side to make sure your gun is firing properly, the pressure's how you want it. So starting the spray away from her body, we're gonna bring it all the way across and back and forth slowly until we make our way all the way down the back. Okay, we just tanned her entire back from the top of her neck, from the top of her underwear. You never want to start spraying right on the body. You always want to start away from the body. The key here is back and forth movements with consistent pressure. When tanning horizontally, you want to make your way down and then back up, covering the body twice. Now, after I tan each section, I always like to dry with just the gun air each section so that by the time I'm done with her entire body, her body will be more dry. Something that I do intentionally is dry slowly. I'm very cognizant of my movements and where I am placing the air on their body. I want this experience to be relaxing and luxurious, so my movements need to mimic that. I'm not drying willy-nilly and flicking my wrist because going too fast doesn't feel good on the receiving end. Every movement is controlled and slow so it feels comfortable for your clients. Okay, now that we have tanned and dried her back, we are gonna move on to the back of the legs. She can keep her arms where they're at, up and out of the way, but now she's gonna need to widen her stance, and then she'll need to hinge forward at the waist so there's no line from where her butt meets her legs. Now, most people are not going to bend enough for you, and it is your job to make sure that they are bending enough so that there won't be a tan line. Trust me, it might feel awkward at first, but it's in your client's best interest that she does this properly. Now that we're in position, I'm gonna start with one leg at a time and bring my spray tan gun right across the top of the glute. So when tanning the upper glute, we're gonna come across the top and gently release once we get to the middle. You're gonna just slightly angle your gun until you get right underneath, and then you're just gonna hold your gun at a 90-degree angle and just continue going horizontally back and forth, slow and controlled motions all the way down until you reach the top of her Achilles. You want to make sure that you don't go all the way down to her heel because the heel tends to be really dry and is going to absorb DHA so much more. So stopping right above the Achilles is key. You want to just make sure you're lightly touching it and then gently going back up, covering the leg twice. I'm going to now do the other leg really quick. Okay, both legs are done and we just dried everything. So now we're gonna move on to the back of the arms. Okay, now she can stand up like normal and we're gonna now tan the back of her arms. So now she's gonna go from here to here. So now that she has both of her arms bent at the elbow, you wanna really make sure that her wrists are straight. If they're like this and there's creases right there, the spray tan's gonna create creases and you don't want that. You always wanna make sure that her hand is at a neutral position, no creases. Similarly, if her hand is extended this way, since we are spray tanning horizontally, once you get down to her wrist right here, you're gonna inevitably hit her hand and you don't want that either. So just make sure that her hands are neutral and at this position, no bend in the wrist, just like this. This is where being detail-oriented matters so much and will set you apart from other artists. It is your job to always adjust positioning throughout the entire process to make sure that there are no creases. Whether it be creases from under their butt, their wrist, their neck, you are in charge and you need to make sure that everything looks perfect before you begin spray tanning. I also wanted to mention really quickly that before I touch anyone and reposition them to where I need them to be, I'm always gonna ask first just so that they're not startled. Okay, now that everything looks good and we are right where we want to be, we are going to start tanning right where her shoulder meets her back. You'll start to notice that as we go, spray tanning the body is really like putting a big puzzle piece together. It might look crazy at first, but you're really just putting pieces together and making the body look cohesive and blended as you go. Okay, see how that just looks so much more blended? We're doing light strokes. The gun is slightly angled for this one, not too much, not too little, just slightly angled so that we can kind of get that crease. Always skipping the elbow. This is just the first touch of the arm. We are gonna hit the arm so many different times, so you really wanna make sure for the first time we do the arm that you're gonna skip the elbow. Similarly to the Achilles, you're gonna stop right above the wrist. The wrists and hands tend to absorb DHA so much more. They tend to be drier, so you really just wanna make sure that you're not fully hitting the wrist. Okay, after we have tanned her arms and dried them, we are now gonna have her turn to her side. Either one works. Okay, once she turns to the side, since we're in the tent, I'm actually gonna have her take a few steps back a little bit, so that way she can fully extend her arms together right out in front of her. Now, having both arms straight forward is intentional because if you just have her put one arm forward and the other one back, 9 times out of 10, by the time you do the other side, she'll have touched her side when she puts her other arm down, and you just don't want that. So I've found that having them put both arms out at the same time eliminates that from happening. Another thing you want to make sure of is that her arms are at a 90-degree angle. We're gonna start right underneath her armpit, and sometimes clients put their arms down like this, and that's gonna inhibit you from fully getting her full side. So just make sure that her arms are out straight, just like this. Now, the sides are fairly easy. Like I mentioned, you're gonna start right underneath her armpit and you're just gonna go side to side all the way down, stopping right above her ankle. Let's do it. One thing I wanted to mention, as you're going down the body, I am never standing straight and angling my gun down. As I'm moving, I am slowly getting lower and lower, always keeping my gun at a 90-degree angle, pretty much always in front of me, just like this. I'm never angling it down to reach lower parts. I'm always staying right in line with the gun. Okay, so as we were going down, back and forth, smooth, steady strokes, and you're moving with your gun, I mentioned that you're gonna stop right above the ankle right here. Then you do wanna hit the outer part of the foot, but similarly to the arms, we're gonna hit the foot a couple of times. So the outer foot is just a very light swipe right across the outer part. Now, as you saw, we started right below the armpit and then we ended right below the armpit. I now want to get the outer part of her arm, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at her shoulder and I'm going to lightly go all the way across, stopping right before we get to her wrist. So we went all the way down, we stopped right above the wrist, and then you also want to get the back of the neck and the side of the neck, just slightly. So I'm bringing my gun across her shoulder, doing light, soft passes, nothing super aggressive. All right, now that we've done the arm, the neck, the entire side, the side of the foot, we're now gonna have her turn to the other side and we're gonna repeat the same exact process. One last thing I want to mention about tanning the shoulders. With spray tanning in general, you want to think about where the sun is naturally going to hit someone. So making sure that the top of the shoulders, top of the arms, the chest are more tan than the rest of the body is really important. So don't be afraid to get up in there. Now, if someone has rolls on their side at any point, instead of having them start like this, you're actually gonna have them put their arm up and then slightly bend to the side, and you're gonna spray starting right underneath her armpit like normal, all the way down, and then after you dry all the creases really well, you can have her put her arm back to this position. Okay, now we are ready for them to fully turn towards us. Now, there are a few options about where you can start, and they all depend on what body type your client has. Now, as we do her chest, we're gonna break it up into a few sections. We're gonna start right above her shoulder and bring it all the way down right to the top of her boob. Then the next part we're gonna do is right next to that, making sure that we're not hitting her neck too much because we're gonna hit her neck last. You wanna just hit it right in the middle, making sure that you ease up on your pressure as you come to the center. You're gonna do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Let me show you. So as you can see, we did just that. We did one pass here, same thing on the other side. And then we always want to make sure that we're hitting the body twice. So then I just repeated that for the second pass. For my gun angling, 90% of this tan, you're gonna be just like this back and forth. But for those few movements like the back of the arm or the chest, we're just going to slightly tilt the gun. It is not like this. It's not like this, it's just slightly tilted so that you can get that perfect downward motion. Now, after we've done the top of the shoulders, I wanna make sure that we can get the inner shoulder. So now I'm gonna have her put her arms like this, perfect, and we are going to lightly touch inner right here, and then if she wasn't wearing a bandeau, this is where we're going to tan the boobs. Now, I'm gonna show you exactly how I tan the boobs, even though she has a bandeau on, just so that you can get a sense of what that pattern looks like. So as you can see, it was just a light touch to just kind of put the puzzle piece together on her shoulder. And then I lightly just kind of went over to get the top of her boob. Now, hopefully you could see the pattern that I was doing with her bandeau on. But after you do the top of the shoulder and kind of connect those dots to her chest, you just want to take your gun and go over, middle, and under. Over, middle, and under. It might be hard to see with the bandeau, but just know that when I'm starting from position 1, when her arms are down like this, I'm only going to the top of her boob anyways. So when she's back up like this and I'm doing her boob, I'm really putting that puzzle piece together from her chest to her boob and making sure everything is blended evenly. Something to make note when you're doing the very center in between someone's boobs is that this area tends to be very porous. So just make sure that you are easing your pressure when you get to the middle. You don't need to put a lot of solution right here, because if you do, you're gonna tend to get those black spotted dots because there's just too many pores that tend to be open in that area. Now that her arms are like this, we're gonna now move on to the rest of her body. So starting right underneath her boobs, we are gonna do her stomach right up to her pelvic bone. Okay, that was option 1, starting from her chest down. Option 2 is starting on their stomach first and then their chest. If your client has larger boobs that touch her skin while she's standing, you will need to start with her stomach first and either have her lift her arms all the way up or get a paper towel and have her hold her boobs up. You'll know to use the paper towel trick if she goes to lift up her arms and her boobs are still touching her upper stomach. All you'll need is a paper towel like this. You're gonna split it into 2 like this, and then I like to fold it just because you don't need that much. And I like to demonstrate exactly what I want my clients to do. Lift right in the middle, all the way up, keeping your fingers on the paper towel. Since you've already done their sides, odds are they already have spray tan all over their boobs, so making sure they keep their hands right on this paper towel is key. You want your tanning experience to be as seamless as possible. So the moment your client turns to face you, you need to already have decided whether you're gonna tan her stomach or her chest first. You can do this by analyzing her body a little bit when she's on her side, and while she's turned to her side, you will be able to see where her boobs lie, so that the moment she turns to you, you can be like, okay, great, here's what we're gonna do. So with option 2, you'll start tanning underneath her boobs all the way down to her pelvic bone or where the top of her underwear starts. When tanning under the boobs, you don't need to go as dark or as heavy as the rest of the body. You just want to give a little bit of color underneath, but you don't want it to be like wet and uncomfortable. You also don't want to go up between their boobs. At this stage, you just want to focus on going lightly underneath her boobs and focusing on her stomach. We're going to pass the center of her boobs and chest afterwards when we do her chest. Once the under boobs and stomach are done, you're gonna dry like normal, but I always like to add a little bit of powder underneath the boobs before I have them set them down. I set them with powder really just to help with friction and drying. It's okay to set things with powder as long as you know you're not gonna spray over that area again. I always like to double check that she didn't get anything on their hands. Sometimes the way that they hold their boobs with the paper towel can allow them to touch their skin. So you just want to make sure that there's nothing on their hands. If there is, grab a baby wipe and just wipe it off. All right, so option 3 is the last option, and that is when you're gonna start with the legs first. You'll be tanning all different body types, so if you are tanning someone and you notice that their stomach folds over and touches their pelvic bone, here's what you'll do when they turn to face you. Instead of having them lift up their boobs first and tan their stomach, you're actually gonna have them lift the middle of their stomach with those paper towels, and you're gonna fully start from the bottom and make your way to the top. Because they need to hold their stomach, you're gonna start on the legs and do your normal routine on their front legs, inner legs, and their feet. You'll want to make sure to do those first and then make your way to that crease that they're holding up. Gently spray that area and then dry it with drying powder before they put it down. Then you're going to have them lift their boobs and you can tan their stomach and their under boob dry it like normal, and then do their chest. Similarly to like I mentioned before, when they turn to face you, you need to have your decision made up in your mind of exactly what you want them to do. It doesn't have to be awkward or uncomfortable. You are the professional and you set the tone. Be confident in what you are asking of them and know that it's totally normal, and by lifting up their stomach, you're delivering the best possible results because there's not going to be any weird creases or lines. As an artist, you need to be confident in your tanning abilities to tan anyone who walks through your door and make them feel safe and amazing in their skin. After tanning someone where I have them lift their stomach, I always make sure to take a note of that so I'm consistent in my process with that client. When you take the time to customize your technique, you are delivering care, intentionality, and results that build trust and long-term loyalty. All right, now we are ready to tan the front of the legs. Similarly to the back of the legs, you are gonna have them put their feet out wider, but keeping their feet straight. Now you wanna get the very front of their legs, so you do wanna make sure that their feet are straight and they're not angled out, or else you're not gonna be able to get that front. Now, starting right below the panty line, you wanna ease into the leg from the top. You don't wanna tan too close to the bikini line because there are a lot of pores in that area, and the tan will create little dots if you spray too close. All right, so as you could see, as we started from the outer part right on her hip, my gun is slightly angled, not too much at all. And then as we get to the inner part of the thigh, it is just back and forth, fluid motions, side to side, always starting away. And then if you'll notice, I like to skip the knee on the way down and then on the way back up, lightly pass over it. The knee is another place that tends to be a little bit more dry on the body, so you don't want to oversaturate the knee. Hitting it lightly once, either on the way down or on the way back up, will be perfect. So once you make your way all the way down, you are going to go all the way down to the ankle. And then for the foot, it's just a simple X, taking it slightly at an angle to the right. You were going to go across, bringing it all the way down through her toes, and then angling it the other way into the other side of the foot. Okay, now that we have done both of the front of her legs and the tops of her feet, we're now gonna do the inner leg. And for that, all she's gonna do is pop her leg out to the side and bend at the knee. She does not need to lift her foot up or anything like that. She can keep it firmly planted and just bend at the knee, kind of like a lunge. Now, one thing about the knee, it does have creases, and that varies between person to person. So depending on what her knee looks like, you might need to have her lunge a little bit more to make sure there's no creases. So now that her foot is at an angle and it's slightly bent, we're just trying to bridge the back leg that we already did and the front. So it's just really light passes, just really getting that inner part of the leg. Okay, as we just did light passes through her inner leg, we also want to just make sure that we're touching the inner part of her foot, but this is again, similarly to the outer foot, a very light touch just right on the inner foot. Now, once everything is dry, we're going to go ahead and do the other leg. Okay, now we are on the arms, and they can put their arms down out to the side, slightly bent at the elbow. Okay, we are gonna start right at the top of the shoulder, going all the way down right to the top of the wrist. Skipping the hands for now, we're gonna do the hands after this arm, and you're just gonna wanna blend until everything is seamless with the chest. Also wanted to point out really quickly, permanent jewelry is totally okay. I will show you exactly how you can kind of manipulate that so that there's not a tan line with permanent jewelry. Okay, so we blended back and forth all the way down right till the top of the wrist. If they do have permanent jewelry, you want to make sure that it is all the way completely down so that you can get the top of her wrist right there without the jewelry getting in the way. Also, if you'll notice, my gun was just slightly angled, just like this, and then kind of coming back to center as we do her forearm. Now, the next position for the arm is going to be out like this, wrist extended. Perfect. Now we are going to lightly touch the inner part of the arm. And like I mentioned earlier, we want to mimic where the sun is going to hit. It's totally natural for the inner arm to be a little bit lighter than the outer arm. Okay, with this, you'll notice everything looks blended seamlessly, but one thing I really want to point out is that I stopped spraying probably right here. The wrist is so important to make sure that you are gradually getting lighter as you make your way to this area. This is what's going to separate you from being an extraordinary artist or an average artist. You want to make sure that you are feathering it out, blending this area perfectly. Next arm position is going to be up like this. We're going to get the outer edge of her arm. I always like to just move my client's arm for them and put it in the exact position that I want it to be, or you can just tell them arm up, pinky facing out. Now with this position, like I mentioned, we're really just focusing on this outer part right here, blending everything together. We're gonna skip the elbow. So for this, you could see it was just super light touches. Again, just blending everything, making it seamless. And I also always like to just slightly hit the armpit, again, just to make sure I've covered all my bases. Now, the last arm position is going to be down like this, arm out, and you're gonna get the top of her shoulder. So down like this, making sure her jewelry is all the way down. We're really just making sure that we're getting the top of her shoulder, skipping the elbow, and then lightly passing right here. So as you can see, her arm is completely tan. There is not 1 inch missing. Everything looks seamless, blended. The elbow's not too dark. Everything is fading perfectly into her wrist, just like we want it. Now, the last thing I do for this arm is gonna be tanning the hand. Now, since her jewelry is sitting right here, I'm gonna have her just put it up like this so it's off of her hand and I can tan this area perfectly. There is slightly a line right here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab my buffing brush that I always keep in my kit for afterwards and just kind of gently buff this area out. Perfect. Now that we're in position, the hands, you guys, are so important. You really want to make sure that you are doing even, consistent pressure on the hands and getting multiple angles. You always want to make sure that their hands are wide and in a claw-like shape. You don't want the claw to be like this. You don't want the claw to be like this. You want it to be out and just slightly bent so that you can get all of these creases in their fingers. You need to analyze your client's hands and make sure that they are in the perfect position before you start. One thing that I see time and time again is sometimes clients hold their hand with their thumbs like this. I don't know why. You might notice it as you start, but just as an example, Everything needs to be out wide. If someone's thumb just happens to be like this, there's gonna be such a white crease right here, and it's gonna be blaring in their face, and they're gonna be very upset. You are the professional. It is your job to make sure everything is set. We're gonna do 2 different angles for the hands. One slightly tilted like this, and we're gonna come all the way across and making sure that we're hitting lightly the outer part of her hand. Nobody wants a really tan arm and then an extremely white side of their hand. So we're gonna lightly hit this part, bringing it all the way down like this, and then we're gonna have her tilt her hand like this and come across the other way. Similarly to the outer part of the hand, you don't want a super white thumb right here, so making sure that we're coming and getting all the angles for the hand. And now kind of tilt it that way, just a little bit. There. So as you could see, I physically moved my body to either side. For the thumb, I'm right here making sure that I am getting that exact angle that I want. And then for the other side, I'm coming all the way over here, again, making sure that I am hitting that area. For the hands, I try to take a step back. You want to lightly graze the hand and just have it blend so seamlessly. The hands, the wrists, the knees, the feet, they're all areas of the body that tend to absorb DHA so much more. And the hands are just so important that you take your time and go slow and really just feather that spray to just graze the hands perfectly. It's not a harsh spray. I'm not holding the gun all the way down. I am just lightly feathering it in a slow motion over each side. I'm now gonna do the full other side of the arm at my normal cadence and speed so you can kind of see each movement again. And then out. Down like that. Perfect. Wide. All right, now that we have done both arms, both hands, everything is looking blended and even, this is the point in the spray tan where you can kind of take a step back, look at the chest, look at the arms, and retouch any areas that you feel you might need to just add a little bit more color to. Lastly, we are going to do the face and the neck as the last parts of the body. Okay, lastly, we are gonna tan her face and her neck. We tan the front of the neck very last because oftentimes when you're tanning, clients like to look down, they like to look to their side, and we don't want that to happen while they have their tan because it's gonna create creases. Now, before you tan the face, you always just wanna triple check that her hairnet is off her face and just right on her hairline so there's no line on her face. Now, I like to break the face up into 2 sections, really just focusing on the top and then the bottom. I typically like to spray tan the face just slightly lighter than the body just so that people's makeup matches, but you can always double check with your client to make sure that's what they want. Okay, after you've tanned the face, now it's just time to do that last little part of the neck. You wanna have your client tilt their head all the way up so you can make sure to get all the angles. Now, since we've already done the sides and the bottom right here, you're really just focusing on getting right underneath her jaw and right there. Let's do it. Okay, after you have done the face and the neck, I like to keep them in this position. You don't want to have them put their neck down immediately after you've tanned their neck because there will be creases. I undo my hose to my gun and I'm just now gonna dry. You wanna take your time. It might feel awkward at first to just stand here and dry, but drying is super important. You don't wanna have any creases. You wanna make sure to dry this thoroughly and then dry right around her face. Again with the drying, I'm going slow and thinking about how it feels to have a lot of air on your body. Just think slow and controlled movements. Okay, now that we've dried a little bit, it is now time to set the entire body with drying powder. You want to get a fluffy brush and dip it in powder. This is the best kept secret for applying drying powder on someone's body. You're gonna turn your hose on and you're gonna aim the hose right where you want the powder to go, and then you're gonna put the powder right in front, just like that. You wanna dry the entire body, but mainly focus on all the areas that are creasing. So we're gonna really focus around the neck. We're gonna dry really good under her armpits, in her arm creases, down her leg, in between her legs, and then we're gonna have her turn around and do the same thing on the back. Okay, after you have dried and applied the drying powder, you can then ask your client if they feel dry enough. Ask them if they need more powder anywhere. They're gonna feel sticky, but they should never feel wet. Now that we're done, I'm gonna have her face me. And then I'm gonna have her step all the way to the edge of the towel, and I'm gonna take off her sticky feet for her. So I'm gonna have you pop one of your heels up, and then I'm gonna have you step out. Perfect. And then I'm gonna grab this, and then I'm gonna have you put the robe back on, and then I'm gonna wipe your hands and feet. Okay, after you've grabbed their sticky feet and their hairnet from them, you wanna have your clients put their clothes back on first, and then wipe and buff their hands. We like to have them put their clothes on first before wiping their hands, because sometimes clients, when they're putting their pants on, can get that bronzer transfer on their palms. Okay, taking a baby wipe and a clean buffing brush, we are now gonna buff out her hands and feet. I like to start with their palms first, facing me. I'm focusing only on getting right here, kind of bringing it down the palm. I don't wanna go too far up here. And then right after that, I'm gonna buff this area out just so that I make sure it blends seamlessly. Gonna do that to the other hand. Okay, perfect. Now I'm gonna wipe off her nails, hands like this, perfect. And then I'm gonna have her do a wide motion with her hand, and then we're gonna buff out each finger and kind of bring it up to the wrist. I have found that buffing out the hand after the tan creates really flawless results, so don't skip this step. Same thing with the feet, we're just gonna wipe the toes and then buff out the feet. Now that you have wiped her hands and feet, it is time to take a note of what you did, what solution you used, any undertones, how long she's gonna leave it on to develop for. And this is when I remind my client how long she needs to wait until she needs to shower, and then go over all the aftercare with her and answer any questions she might have. As I mentioned in the customization section, you always wanna remind your clients that everything is adjustable. And that is the entirety of the spray tanning process. Before we chat through some key takeaways, I wanted to quickly touch on angling the gun and how you can make sure you are positioning your hands properly. Since we are tanning horizontally, your main spray tan pattern is left and right holding the gun upright. However, as you just saw in the demo, there were some movements where we angle the gun to the right or left and go up or down. You want to make sure that you are angling your hand just slightly as you go up and down, because if you angle it too drastically, you're going to create a harsh line versus a smooth blended pass. It'll make more sense when you start practicing on your own and get a feel for how different angles show up on the body. Now that we have gone over everything from how spray tanning works to customization to the actual art of tanning, I wanted to go over some key takeaways that are the most important when it comes to delivering a flawless tan. Number one, consistent pressure. Having consistent pressure throughout the entire tan is key in delivering even tans. If you are brand new to tanning, this will probably be something that you work up to, as getting the hang of tanning is a learned skill that you hone over time. For those of you who are just starting out, I highly recommend practicing your technique in the shower walls where you can easily rinse it off. Focus less on the solution itself and more on building muscle memory, repeating your movements while keeping steady pressure on the trigger. The more you practice, the more natural it'll feel. Number two, slowed and controlled movements. Spray tanning can be a quick service, under 30 minutes for sure, but the tan itself should be very slow and controlled, with every movement handled with care and intentionality. If you find yourself messing up or not having the best results, try going slower and controlling your hand movements. Number three, details matter. The details will either be the death of you or what sets you apart. You are responsible for making sure every single client is perfect in the position that they're in so that the results are seamless. You can't be scared or shy to tell someone to stick their butt out farther, and you need to be able to spot those details as you go, every single time. Number four, fixing smudges and troubleshooting. Here are a few common issues that can occur while you're tanning a client. If your client hit something in the tanning wall or tent and got tanner on her arm or hands, you can gently buff or wipe out with a brush mid-tan. Nothing will be ruined as long as you address it right away. The longer DHA sits on the skin, even if it's just for a few minutes, the harder it'll be for you to get it off. If your client put her arms down fully after you've done her sides and you see that there are smudges on her arms, on the inner part, before you tan her arms, you can take a baby wipe and gently wipe that area so it's no longer dark. If your client forgot to remove her deodorant before you started tanning her and her armpits turn a scary green color, tell your client after she is dressed that her armpits will look green for 2 or so days and then they'll fade. This is an educational opportunity for you to let your client know how to better prep for next time. If your client is really sweaty and it's dripping during the tan, quickly address the sweat by dabbing it in that sweaty area, making sure that the client doesn't feel sweaty before you begin again. If you continue tanning and they are still dripping with sweat, the tan will develop that way. So it's super important that you buff out any harsh lines and make sure to address that area that is wet as soon as you see it. This is somewhat of a common occurrence, so just make sure that you make your client feel comfortable and reassure her that everything will be fine. Another common question that comes up after you tan a client is, as they put their clothes on, it's totally normal for them to have a little bit of tan rubbed off from their clothes. This will not impact the final result at all once they rinse the bronzer off. Okay, let's talk about contouring with spray tans and how it can enhance your client's natural shape and make areas more sculpted and defined. Contouring isn't about painting on dramatic lines that don't make sense. It's about strategically adding depth and dimension to flatter the body. This is an additional service that you can include if you want to increase your price per tan or differentiate yourself from your competitors. You can create add-ons for contouring that just include the face, stomach, arms, legs, or the whole body. You could also use a contour gun to balance out unwanted tan lines. This could be huge for weddings or special events. However, depending on how drastic the tan line is, it might not completely blend seamlessly with the rest of their body, but it will be better than nothing. When someone wants contour added onto their tan, you can either start with the contour first, or you can tan their whole body like normal and then add the contour on after. Totally personal preference. It might be slightly easier to see where you're contouring before you start tanning, but again, I would test out both ways and see which way works best for you. I also just want to point out that if you contour after the tan, do not put the finishing powder on until after you've completed everything. When you are contouring, you need to put solution in the gun that is darker than the tan that you are giving. If you don't use a darker solution for the contour, it won't show up. This is where having DHA booster drops could come in handy, so that if you're using the darkest solution you have, you can add a few drops into the contour shade so that it does have that higher DHA percentage. The key areas we typically contour are the collarbones. This adds definition by lightly shading just underneath and slightly above the bone to bring out that natural dip. Abdominal lines, soft curves on either side of the abs can create a more defined waist and a flatter stomach area. The inner thighs, a little shading here can create the illusion of a more toned leg. Outer arms and shoulders, this adds a bit of lift and sculpt to their arms. Under the glutes, a subtle line below the cheeks can give the appearance of a lifted booty. Calves enhances the definition. Face, you could do cheekbones, jawline, and then lastly, tan line correction, filling in those lines where they're lighter on the body. Contour is actually fairly easy once you practice 1 or 2 times, but it's definitely a trust the process type of situation because your client will be leaving with visible lines on their skin, so you just want to remind them that everything's going to come together in the end. Okay, with your contour gun, you're gonna wanna go in small circular motions and have your clients flex wherever you're gonna apply the contour. You're gonna start building up your solution and create a darkened line that is congruent where she naturally has muscle definition. Similarly to how we wanna mimic where the sun hits for the tan, we wanna create deeper shadows where they are naturally. Let's practice on her calves. Okay, small circular motions. All right, now let's shade her stomach. You need to pause or you're good? I'm good. Okay. Walk through. So as you can see, we're just slowly building up that solution so we can create really even blended lines. The key to contouring is really just making sure that you are just shading the natural areas that are already darkened when she's either flexing or moving her body in a certain position. Now let's do her upper arm. Let's do this arm. And I want you to turn and yep, flex. Perfect. To add some definition to her arm, you can already see there's some shadow right here as she's flexing. We're just gonna lightly go under that. Lastly, contouring the face. This can be a really easy add-on for your clients. A few things to make note of: when you're doing her jaw, you don't want to go too far up and create a beard. You really want to stick with the natural shadows of where her jaw hits. I'm gonna have you turn your head that way for me. Perfect. We're just gonna focus right here where it is darker, not going too far up. Other side for me. And then I want your neck all the way up for me. To create some dimension right here, I'm just going to add a little bit of contour right there too. Perfect. Now you can put your head back to normal. Now I want to just highlight her cheekbones a little bit. I'm going to have her do a little bit of a face like that. Perfect. Other side for me. Okay, and that is how you contour. Like I said, practice on your friends a few times and look at their results to see if you need to adjust. Don't be afraid when they look crazy. It's all part of the process. And once you do a few contours, you'll be confident in how it looks. Welcome to the Business 101 module. This is where we go beyond the art of spray tanning and step into what it really means to run a successful business. You're not just offering tans, you are building a brand, creating client loyalty, and setting the foundation to scale your income and freedom. Whether you want to do spray tanning on the side or you're dreaming of a full-fledged six-figure luxury beauty business, this module is here to walk you through every step of getting started the right way. We'll cover everything from business licenses and trademarks to setting up your banking, booking systems, and client forms. I'll also share the exact tools that I use to run my own successful spray tan business, so you're not guessing. You are learning from someone who has built it from the ground up and learned a whole lot along the way. My goal is to help you feel confident and prepared as a first-time business owner by setting up your business the right way from the start. You're saving yourself time and money and burnout later on. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty checklist, I want to be really clear about one thing. This course was designed with the mentality that you are going all in, not halfway. Even if your current intention is to keep this part-time, everything I teach here is structured for those who want to build a luxury, long-lasting 6 or 7-figure business. Because here's the truth. Even a side hustle requires you to show up like a CEO. You still have to market, manage clients, track expenses, and pay taxes. So if you're going to do all of that, why not do it at the highest level? You don't need to have it all figured out right now. You just need to decide that you are in this to build something real and big. Let's start with what I believe is the foundations to running a successful business. Your mindset, creating a luxury client experience, and knowing your current strengths and weaknesses. Number 1, your mindset is the foundation of everything. The way you see yourself directly impacts how others see and value your business. This is something I've learned firsthand. My mental health and the success of my business are deeply connected. That said, mindset isn't just about managing stress, it's also about stepping into the role of a CEO, even if you're just starting out. If you treat this like just a side thing and downplay what you're building, you're unintentionally minimizing the work and dedication and talent it takes to build something great. Every spray tan you give, every DM you respond to, every branding decision you make, it all matters. You don't need to have a 6-figure business tomorrow to start thinking like the version of you who runs one. This mindset will guide your decisions, your boundaries, your pricing, and the way you lead your brand. I wish when I first started out that I had this mindset shift, because it would have led me to not only be more confident in my spray tans, but also a more confident businesswoman who was proud of what she was building. I want you to pause and ask yourself 3 questions. How would the version of me running a fully booked, high-end spray tan business show up online? Would she wait until everything's perfect or post anyway because she knows her dream clients are watching? How would she handle client feedback? Would she spiral or stay grounded, knowing it's an opportunity to grow? And lastly, how would she walk into her studio? Distracted or clear and confident and proud of what she's building? You don't have to be her yet, but every decision you make from here on out moves you either closer or further away. Today is where your leadership begins. Whether you're mobile or have your own studio, this is more than just giving tans. This is about building a brand that makes people feel powerful and confident in their skin. And it all starts with how powerfully you choose to see yourself. Number 2, building a business that feels elevated. Building a luxury client experience is going to be what sets you apart from every other business in your area. And when I say luxury, I don't mean exclusive or unattainable. To me, luxury is all about intentionality. Every part of the client experience, from how they find you online, to how they feel in your studio, to the way you follow up after their appointment, is crafted with intentionality. You are not just giving someone a spray tan, you are creating a moment, a feeling, and ultimately an experience that makes them walk out of the door more confident than when they came in. So take a moment to think about how you're going to intentionally show up for your clients and create a space with their comfort in mind, down to the smallest details. That is what is going to stand out to people and get them excited to share their experiences with their friends and make them want to leave you a 5-star review. I cannot emphasize this enough. Being the best in your city goes so much farther than just giving the best spray tans. I promise you, people will remember how they felt after coming to you and then how well their spray tan was. Yes, your spray tans need to be 10 out of 10. That is a given, but I'm talking about the type of business reputation where word starts to spread fast and people start driving an hour or even 2 hours out of their way because they want to tan with you. That happens by creating a space with intentionality, with client experience at the focal point. Number 3, defining your strengths and weaknesses before you start. One of the best things you can do before launching your business is to get real with yourself. What am I naturally gifted at, and what are areas that feel overwhelming, confusing, or totally outside my comfort zone? Here's why this matters so much, especially at the beginning. When you're just starting out, you don't have a team of people to delegate to. You are the business, and that means you are going to wear every hat. You're the service provider, marketer, accountant, content creator, customer service rep, social media manager, the list goes on. If you know what you're good at, lean into it. That's your power zone. But just as importantly, if you know where your weaknesses are, you can start learning, researching, and building systems around those gaps before they cost you your time, money, or confidence. There's no shame in not being great at every part of entrepreneurship. No one is. But what separates successful business owners isn't that they know everything, it's that they're self-aware enough to recognize their blind spots and proactive enough to do something about them. Let me give you some examples. If marketing or tech feels intimidating, start slow, watch tutorials, ask questions, use the resources provided here. If organization isn't your strong suit, implement tools early like Google Calendar or Monday.com or digital checklists. If pricing or finances stresses you out, grab a book, listen to a podcast, and commit to learning a little at a time. As the business owner, you are the only one who is responsible for closing the gaps in your business. I was listening to a podcast recently with Dan Martell, and he said that entrepreneurship is the only job where you get to constantly work on yourself. So rather than think that focusing on your weaknesses is stressful and daunting, look at it with a different perspective and know that you are about to embark on a journey where you are constantly learning and becoming a better version of yourself. Take a second and ask yourself these few questions. What are my natural strengths as a business owner? What are 3 things I feel the weakest in? What are some practical ways I can start closing those gaps? The more honest you are in this reflection, the more empowered you'll be to build a business that not only reflects who you are, but sets you up for sustainable long-term success. Let this module be your first step in figuring out your strengths and weaknesses. And if you're still feeling stuck or unsure, please reach out to me. I am here as a resource even after you've completed this training. Okay, let's dive into the nitty-gritty business checklist that every single business owner needs to have. In this section, we are going to go over every single legal and logistical aspect you will need to get your business up and running like a professional. These items are not necessarily in order of when you should do each step, but I would highly recommend you have each of these listed below done before you launch your business. Number 1, social media handles. So IG, TikTok, Facebook, secure your @handle now. First things first, I would decide on a business name and check if it is taken on Instagram and TikTok. This is definitely the first thing you should do because odds are if that name is not taken online, then you should be good to go for getting a business license, a trademark, and a domain for it as well. I would spend a good amount of time, if you don't already have your business name, to brainstorm on what your business name is going to be. Next, register your business. After you have your business name secured and you have all the social media handles for it, you need to register your business name with your state. Each state has unique rules and regulations, so I would research how to register your business and apply for a business license in your state. Next, apply for your EIN, your employee identification number. This will all be done through the IRS. Then you apply for a business license. This will be done through the Department of Revenue or the Secretary of State. If you want to sell products, you'll also want to obtain a reseller's permit. Next, Open a business bank account. Once you have your business license, you can then go to your bank and open a business debit card. You will not be able to get a business debit card without having a business license. I also recommend getting a business credit card so you can start building business credit. Your debit card helps you manage everyday cash flow, while your credit card can support larger expenses and give you the financial flexibility to grow, all while keeping your personal finances separate. If you need help figuring out what business credit card is going to work best for you and your business goals, I would check out thepointsguy.com. He breaks down all the best business credit cards so you can compare them and then make the best decision. Next, you'll need to have business insurance. General liability insurance helps cover medical costs, legal fees, and damages if someone gets hurt in your studio and decides to take legal action. Listed in your workbook are some insurance companies that you can look into that are specifically tailored to salons and spas. Then you'll need to check health and cosmetology requirements in your state. In most states, spray tanning does not require a cosmetology license, but you may need a health permit if you're working in a studio. You'll also need to understand zoning laws for home-based businesses. Some cities require a permit to operate a business from your home. The vast majority of states have no specific licensing required for spray tanning, but you will need to check with your state and local government for any tanning licenses you might need. Next, you'll want to consider trademarking your business name. This isn't a necessary step, but if you are planning on growing your business and want to create products in the future, for example, then I definitely think trademarking your business name is very important. You'll do this through the USPTO, the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Next, you'll need to make sure you have your accounting system set up, like QuickBooks, Wave, or hire a bookkeeper. Let's be real, this part of business isn't glamorous, but it is crucial. I can't emphasize this enough. Whether you're a sole proprietor, LLC, or S-Corp, your tax and legal setup will directly impact your financial success. Every business structure has different requirements, which is why I highly recommend working with an accountant or financial advisor from the start. They'll help you get set up properly, stay organized, and avoid any surprises come tax season. Even if it feels like you can figure this out later, don't wait. Trust me, tax stress is real, and it's so much easier to build good systems now than clean up messes later. Start tracking your income and expenses, log your mileage for mobile tans, put these habits into place now, and your future self will thank you. If you don't know where to start or who to go to, reach out to another beauty business in your area and see if they recommend their accountant or bookkeeper. You want to find someone who is referred to you rather than find someone random online. Next, make sure you know how to file your taxes. There are two different types of taxes, your income tax and your sales tax. When it comes to charging sales tax on spray tanning services or selling products, you'll need to check with your local and state government to see if you need to charge sales tax. If you do need to charge sales tax, then a great habit to start doing is putting that sales tax money in a separate checking account so you can always make sure you have enough money to pay your monthly or quarterly sales tax. Similarly, you'll want to save 25 to 30% of your net income, which is revenue minus expenses, and put that away in another separate account. Next, you'll want to write out your client waiver and liability forms. A client waiver informs the client and obtains their informed consent, acknowledges they understand spray tanning involves certain risks and that their tan results may vary. The liability form protects you legally, states the client agrees not to hold you responsible for allergies, reactions, poor prep, or unsatisfactory results. You can also add your cancellation policies to these forms so that when the client cancels last minute and refuses to pay the cancellation fee, you have it documented that they agreed in the waiver. I will link both my client and liability forms for you to use at the end of this section. Feel free to take them word for word as I use them or tweak them in any way that suits you and your business. Next, choosing a booking system for your clients like Square, Gloss Genius, or Vagaro. I would take some time to research which one will best suit your business. Your booking system is your lifeline, so choosing wisely is important. Of course, you can always switch to a different one, but just know that it is a huge pain to switch all of your clients to a different one. So I would suggest making sure you are certain before deciding on one. I personally use Vagaro and love them. They have a lot of amazing features and are very helpful for growing your business, client communication, and have great customizations for house calls, which if you're going to be doing mobile tans is very helpful. Next, deciding on your business phone number. This is something I wish I did sooner. I wish I set up a business phone number from the jump because as you start getting more booked and busy, Your phone will be going off constantly at all hours, and for me, I found that to be very stressful and overwhelming. On my days off, I couldn't even look at my phone because I would have 20 unread texts, 17 missed calls, and I just personally hated not having that little bit of separation. About 2 years into owning my business is when I not only got a business number, but I also got a separate work phone. Another thing I didn't really love was having so many client photos on my personal phone. So for me, having that separate phone allowed me to have my client photos and my work videos on my work phone, and then my personal phone could just be that. So take a moment to think through a separate phone and a number. I know it might sound extra to have a work phone, but it's really not that expensive to add another line to your phone plan. I think the pros far outweigh the cost of having another phone. Next, choosing a website platform and purchasing a domain. I am a huge advocate for having a dedicated website in addition to your booking platform. While booking sites are great for appointments, a full website gives you the space to showcase your brand, educate potential clients, and highlight what sets you apart. You can include a gallery of client photos, share detailed service descriptions, add an FAQ page, and tell your story, all of which builds trust and credibility. A well-designed website also gives your business a professional and elevated feel, reinforcing your position as a luxury brand. I have a few experiences with different website platforms. Squarespace is very user-friendly and easy to set up. If you have zero experience in building websites, but you can learn things quickly, Squarespace is for you. Everything is basically pre-built for you. All you need to do is plug and play what photos and web copy you want. I personally use Shopify because I sell a lot of products on my site, and I think Shopify is a little bit better of a platform for selling. However, it is a lot more technical, so if you have zero experience building out a website, I would not choose Shopify, unless you have a lot of time to dedicate watching YouTube tutorials and teaching yourself how their system works. Once you get your website chosen and have your domain, you should be using a custom domain email like hello@yourbusinessname.com instead of a generic one like yourbusinessname@gmail.com. This instantly elevates your brand's credibility. It communicates that you take your business seriously and adds a layer of professionalism that clients notice and trust. You can get a custom domain email through setting up a Google Workspace. And lastly, you'll want to verify your business on Google Maps. This step should be completed once you have your business license, website, booking site, phone number, email address, all set up. Verifying your business on Google will allow people to find your business when they search and allow clients to leave you business Google reviews. Before we move on to the next section, I wanted to quickly go over all the apps I use to run my business on a daily or weekly basis. When you're a solo business owner, having the right tools makes all the difference. These are the apps that I use to keep things running smoothly, stay organized, and show up consistently. Number 1, Canva. This app is hands down the most user-friendly design app out there. Whether I'm creating Instagram graphics, email headers, or client prep guides, Canva makes it easy. Next is my favorite video editing tool, CapCut. If you are creating Reels or TikToks, CapCut is a must. Next is a truly underrated business tool, ChatGPT. I mainly use ChatGPT to help with client communication, double check spelling and grammar in my emails or DMs, and even come up with caption ideas or marketing copy when I'm feeling stuck. Next is an app I don't use as often, but is one that I've had for years, QR code generator. I use this to make custom QR codes for my business cards, flyers, and in-studio signage. It's a sleek way to lead clients directly to your booking link, social media, or website with one scan, and it looks super professional. The next app I use on a daily basis is the Preview app. I use this to lay out all my upcoming content and see what photos flow well together and make sure my feed looks clean, cohesive, and on brand. It takes the guesswork out of posting and makes batching content way easier. Lastly, an app I love to use to help me stay organized is Monday.com. As you're getting set up with all these tasks, it can be overwhelming. Anytime I have a big project, I use Monday. It's a great organization tool where you can put in all your tasks and create due dates for yourself to help keep yourself on track. Now let's talk through operations. This is where we get into the nuts and bolts of actually running your business. This might not be the most glamorous part of entrepreneurship, but it is one of the most important because while good branding might attract clients, it's the solid operations that keep them coming back. Your location, hours, policies, pricing, service menu, and client communication All of it plays a role in the overall experience you deliver. Whether you're working out of your home, renting a room, or offering mobile tans, this section will help you build a strong foundation that feels aligned, organized, and professional from day one. Let's dive in and start with choosing the right location for your business. Your location matters more than you think. Where you choose to run your business can directly impact the type of clients you attract, how much you can charge, and how quickly you grow. If you're just starting out, working from home is totally okay. But if you're considering renting a studio or a suite right now, your target audience should guide that decision. We'll dive deeper into identifying your target audience in the marketing module, but here are a few things to start thinking about now. Are you aiming to attract luxury clients who value convenience and high-end experiences, or are you focusing on younger clients who care more about affordability and accessibility? Your answers to these questions will help determine what kind of space makes the most sense, whether it's mobile, in-home, or a studio location. Also think about things like parking, walkability, nearby businesses, and the overall vibe of the area. Your location should reflect your brand and support the pricing and client experience you want to create. Each option, working from home, mobile, or renting a studio, has its pros and cons. Let's chat through each one. Running your business from home. Starting your spray tanning business out of your home can be a great way to keep overhead costs low while you build your clientele. I personally started in my house, and while it was the most affordable option, there were a few things I learned along the way that are important to consider. Number one, safety and privacy. I personally wasn't comfortable sharing my home address online, which made it a little bit difficult for potential clients to gauge how far away I was. I often got messages asking, "Where are you located?" And without being able to post my address, it sometimes made it harder to secure bookings. Number two, having strangers in your home. While most clients are lovely, there's always a chance someone might make you feel unsafe or a little bit uncomfortable. Inviting strangers into your personal space is a real consideration, especially if you live alone. Number three, the mess factor. Spray tanning can get messy real fast. Overspray, solution stains, ventilation, it all becomes a little bit trickier when you're working in a space that wasn't designed for this type of service. That said, if you have a private setup like a separate entrance or a converted garage and feel comfortable, starting from your home can be an excellent way to get your feet wet without taking on a lot of risk. Next, starting with mobile only. Starting your spray tanning business as a mobile-only service is a great option, especially if you don't have the space in your home designed for that setup, or if you're not quite ready to take on the financial responsibility of renting a studio. This allows you to begin building a client base with very little overhead. That said, there are a few important things to consider. Not everyone wants you to come to them. While mobile tanning offers convenience, many clients still prefer the structure and privacy of an in-studio experience. At 7, even though we offer both options, our in-studio tans are consistently more popular. Another factor is pricing. Mobile tans should always be priced higher. They're a luxury service, and rightfully so. You're not just offering a tan, you're offering convenience, travel setup, and teardown, and that comes with added expenses, increased gas usage, wear and tear on your vehicle, and fewer appointments per day due to the drive time and logistics. However, if you plan to build a luxury mobile tanning experience, especially targeting higher income demographics, mobile tanning can be a great long-term strategy. It just might take a little bit longer to build momentum. And lastly, launching an in-studio business. If you're serious about building a long-term luxury spray tanning business, I highly recommend making an in-studio space your ultimate goal. Even if your at-home setup is beautiful, there's something about having a dedicated location that immediately elevates your brand. It allows you to create a more curated, branded experience for your clients, and it makes your business easier to market. So while a high-end in-home setup can absolutely work, if you want to position yourself as a top-tier spray tan business in your city, a studio will help you stand out. Now, if you're thinking about renting a studio from the start, here's what to consider. Have at least 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. Before signing a lease or renting a suite, make sure you have enough saved to cover rent and utilities, startup costs, insurance, ongoing business expenses, and solution. If you're starting from scratch and don't have any clients yet, it might be smarter to begin in your home or mobile and build demand before committing to rent. If you're eager to be in a studio, look into salon suites or single room rentals. They're often much more affordable and require less commitment than signing a long-term commercial lease. Ultimately, there is no right way to start, but there is something to be said about being strategic and thinking through all the options of what they could mean for your business. If you're financially prepared and confident in your skills, a studio could totally make sense for you. But if you're still testing out the waters, starting from home or mobile can be just as strategic and successful. When I made the jump from my garage to a studio, it was the scariest jump for me at that time, but it ultimately made my business take off in ways I don't think I could have accomplished if I had stayed in my garage. And looking back, I actually wish I would have moved sooner because I actually had the clientele base to support that monthly rent. I was just terrified to make the jump. So take this lesson from me: the moment you can afford to move into a space, do it. Even if it scares you. You'll learn quickly that in business, oftentimes the moves or risks that are the scariest are the ones that you should be taking. All right, let's dive into setting your hours and policies. Running a luxury spray tanning business means setting clear expectations for yourself and your clients. From your hours to your cancellation policy, setting boundaries protects your time, energy, and your bottom line. Clearly defining your business hours is one of the most important steps in creating structure for both you and your clients. List your availability on your website, booking site, and even in your email signatures so people know when to expect responses or appointment options. Next, setting up your policies and boundaries. Policies are very important to have in place from the start. Policies aren't about being strict, they're about protecting your time and energy and business. Setting clear expectations from the start helps create a professional environment where both you and your clients know what to expect. Boundaries give your business structure and keeps you from burning out. You're going to include these in your waiver and reinforce them across your booking platforms, confirmation emails, and post-care materials. But even more important than setting them is enforcing them. If you bend your rules too often, clients may start to treat your time like it's optional. That said, every situation is different and you can always use discretion on a case-by-case basis. Let's go over a few different policies you should have in place, starting off with the cancellation policy. You can choose to structure your cancellation policy in any way you see fit. What I do is, if a client cancels with less than 24 hours notice, a 50% cancellation fee will be charged to their card. This also applies to same-day cancellations. You've reserved that time and likely turned away other business, so your time deserves to be compensated. Some beauty businesses require a 48-hour notice, but for me, I find that 24 hours is great. I also require a card on file for every appointment that is made. This allows me to make sure I am able to charge cards if a last-minute cancellation or no-show happens. Now, you can absolutely make exceptions based on the situation. Family emergencies, sudden illnesses, or weather, but keep in mind that every time you waive a policy, you're training your clients on what is acceptable. What I've been doing from the start is if I waive a fee, I'll make a note of it in their account and then let them know that I've waived it this time, but next time they will be charged. That way you can set the tone and have it recorded in case it becomes a reoccurring issue with that same client. Next, you should have a no-show policy. A no-call no-show should result in 100% charge of the service. Time is money, and a no-show with no communication is incredibly disruptive to your schedule. If a first-time client no-shows, you can even decide whether or not you want to allow them to rebook. The next thing to consider is a late arrival policy. Give yourself a time buffer. I recommend a 10-minute grace period. After that, the appointment may need to be rescheduled or shortened, especially if it impacts the next client. Next, think through your refund policy. Due to the nature of spray tanning and the personalized results, I have chosen not to offer refunds on services that we've done. However, if a client is truly unhappy and it was due to your mistake, you can offer a discounted future tan. Lastly, group tan cancellations. When it comes to tanning a larger group that obviously takes way more time on your schedule than just one tan, I do think it's important to have a different cancellation policy for groups, especially over 4 people. Take it from me, who has been screwed over one too many times from large groups canceling the day before and leaving my whole day wide open. My cancellation policy for groups of 4 or more is a 48-hour notice instead of 24 hours. And if you wanted, you could even require an additional deposit. Now let's chat through client management and retention. Client retention is where the magic and money happens. A booked out calendar is great, but a loyal client base who keeps coming back and brings their friends is how you build a sustainable business. My number one tip in client management and retention is strategic follow-up texts and education. Following up with your clients isn't just good service, it's smart business. I follow up with every single client like clockwork exactly 2 weeks after their tan. I'm not just checking in, I'm intentionally opening the door to deepen the relationship and generate new content and reviews. There are 3 strategic goals behind this 2-week follow-up. Number 1, checking the longevity of their tan. Following up 2 days after their appointment doesn't tell you much, but at the end of the 2-week mark, you can get valuable feedback about how the tan wore, what they liked, what they might have wanted to tweak next time, if they do want to tweak something. Secondly, asking your clients for photos. I love showcasing real client results across Instagram and TikTok, but the timing is everything. When you wait 2 weeks, they've usually had their event, trip, or photo session and are more likely to send you that golden content. And lastly, ask for reviews. After they've shared their photos and told you how much they love their tan, it is the perfect time to ask for a review. And here's the key, make it as easy as possible. Send them the direct link to leave you a review. The easier you make it, the more likely they're actually gonna do it. At 7, we really only focus on Google reviews because I've found that a lot of my clients use Google to find us. You can focus on any reviewing site you think your clients would frequent because you wanna be where your clients are. Next, let's talk about having a rebooking strategy. If you're on the edge of whether or not you should offer memberships or packages, I'm gonna make the decision for you. You should. They're one of the best ways to generate predictable, reoccurring revenue and increase client retention. At 7, we offer monthly memberships at 1 time, 2 time, or 3 times a month. They're flexible enough to meet different lifestyles and tanning needs, and once people are on the membership, they're less likely to stray to other artists. Similarly, packages like a 3-pack or a 6-pack also work great for vacation prep or wedding season. Client retention isn't just about discounts or clever promos, it's about how you make people feel and how well you remember their preferences. One of the most important and overlooked indicators of a healthy business is your return rate. How many of your clients are coming back to rebook? A higher return rate means clients love their experience, trust your brand, and want to keep coming back. A low return rate, that's a sign that something's off. An ideal goal is 60 to 80% return rate. This means 6 to 8 out of every 10 clients are rebooking with you. Memberships, packages, and an excellent follow-up system can help boost this. Now, an acceptable return rate for new artists is around 40 to 60%. If you're just starting out, this range is totally normal as you build your brand and client base. Focus on improving experience, follow-up, and client education to increase it. Some red flags to watch out for. If you have a lot of first-time clients but few repeat bookings, this might mean that your experience isn't living up to expectations. It could be the tan itself, the customer service, or lack of clear post-tan instructions. Next, if a client says they'll rebook but never do, this usually points to a follow-up or communication issue. Are you making it easy for them to rebook? Are you checking in after their appointments? Are you creating enough urgency or value to bring them back in? And lastly, negative feedback or ghosting after appointments. If someone seems unhappy, don't panic, but do try to reach out and understand what happened. Sometimes it's an easy fix, like tweaking the color next time, but ultimately taking the time to understand and offer a fix builds trust. Now, don't just track your return rate, analyze why people are or aren't coming back. And remember, you don't need hundreds of new clients every month. You need a loyal client base of people who keep coming back, who love your work, and who tell their friends about you. That's how a sustainable, long-term business is built. Now, let's dive into creating your service menu and selling products. Your service menu is more than just a list of what you offer. It's a direct reflection of your brand, pricing strategy, and how you want to be perceived in the market. You want your menu to be clean, easy to understand, and aligned with the luxury experience you're creating. And most importantly, it needs to be priced for profit. Too many new artists undervalue themselves out of fear. This section is here to help you avoid that. Let's start by covering your signature services, aka your core spray tan services. You want to keep the name of all your services simple. If you have a bunch of different service names and offerings, it might confuse people and turn them off because your menu is just too complicated. Clients should understand your offering in less than 10 seconds. At 7, we have the most straightforward service menu with zero fluff. I'm not against fluff in any way. If that speaks to you and how you want to market, that's the beauty of owning your own business. You get to decide these things. Next, I would decide if you want people to be able to choose rapid or regular tans. Partial tans are also a great service to include. They are especially popular for me in the wintertime. It's a service I offer where people can either tan half up or half down, and it's half price. Next, decide whether you're going to offer mobile tans and be clear about whether your pricing includes travel or if there are any additional fees by distance. Like I mentioned earlier, mobile tans should be viewed as a luxury option, so therefore they should be set at a higher price. We'll touch on how to set your prices in the next section. Next, think about any service add-ons you'll want clients to choose from. Think pH balancing spray, shimmer bronzing drops, hydration seals. Keep the descriptions short and value focused. Lastly, think about what packages and memberships you want to offer. Be sure to clearly list what's included, like gratuity, expiration windows, if there are any, and how everything works to book the actual service after purchasing a package or membership. Now, let's chat through selling products. Selling retail is a strategic way to grow your business, build trust with your clients, and offer a truly elevated full circle experience. By offering curated retail products like exfoliating mitts, tan-safe body washes, hydrating lotions, or gradual tanners, you're giving your clients everything they need to maintain their glow and reinforce your expertise at the same time. Selling retail can also increase revenue without adding hours. You can only do so many tans in a day, but product sales continue working for you even after your last appointment. You don't need to carry a full retail line to start, just a few staple products that align with your brand and enhance the client experience. Okay, let's dive into actually pricing your services. Your pricing isn't just a number, it is a reflection of your time, value, professionalism, and the experience that you provide. Whether you're just starting out or scaling your business, the goal is simple: be profitable. Here are some things to consider when determining your pricing. Price for profit, not popularity. Don't just guess that a price sounds good. Use a profitability calculator to break down every cost that goes into each tan, from your solution and disposables to setup time, communication, and overhead. What you charge should reflect everything that it takes to deliver a tan, not just what the artist down the street is doing. And remember, you're not just offering a tan, you are delivering a luxury experience that deserves luxury pricing. I've attached a profitability calculator at the end of this section so you can plug and play some numbers and make sure you feel confident when pricing your services. Next, you want to consider your market because your location matters. Are you in a small town or a major metro city? Research what others in your industry are charging, not to undercut, but to understand your landscape. Your pricing should stand out by being aligned with the value that you bring. Luxury pricing comes from luxury experience. If your clients are receiving warm towels, robes, high-end products, professional guidance, and top-tier results, you should be charging more. Even if you're newer, if you're bringing professionalism, education, and care, your pricing should still reflect that. If you're booked solid at $50 per tan and still barely making ends meet, it's time to raise your rates. Burnout is real, and undercharging is often the culprit. It's okay to start on the conservative side of pricing while building your skills and confidence, but don't stay there. As your demand grows, so should your prices. You should feel good about what you're charging. Now for mobile, you want to set smart travel rates. Determine whether you're charging based on time or mileage. Remember, pricing isn't just about numbers, it's about valuing your time, your skills, and your vision. You're not just building a business, you're building a life, and that deserves to be profitable. Since we're on the topic of profit, let's chat about making financially smart decisions and managing your money. Running a business isn't just about making money, it's about managing it. And I want to start this section off by being real. In today's world, it's really easy to fall into the trap of wanting everything to look perfect right away. The aesthetic studio, the high-end decor, the launch party. But here's what I've learned. Only a very small percentage of business owners can actually afford all that at the beginning. Most of us start small and scale smart. I had one client once, she was the CFO of a huge architect firm here in Seattle, and she told me something that stuck with me. Debt isn't bad if it's going to make you money, but don't go into debt for something that won't. Buying a new spray tan machine because yours is breaking down, That's a smart investment. But spending $2,000 on a party just to announce that you're open when you haven't even made $1 yet? Maybe not the best move. So here are a few tips I want to give you when it comes to managing your money as a new business owner. Number one, separate your business and personal finances. Please don't skip this step. Open a dedicated business checking account now, even if you haven't even made a sale yet. This will keep everything clean and make your life way easier when tax season comes around. Number two, don't feel like you need to have the cutest setup or the most expensive equipment day one. Start small, get profitable, then upgrade. I didn't get a spray tan extraction wall until I was over a year in business because there are thousands of dollars. You can totally start out in a $60 spray tan tent and give flawless tans and grow your business. Number three, read the book Profit First. This book changed the game for me. It helped me separate emotion from money, plan for taxes, pay myself consistently, and actually feel like I was in control of my finances. This is the book that taught me how to set up multiple bank accounts to plan for savings, taxes, and profit. If money is a topic that scares you, the author of Profit First, Mike Michalowicz, lays it all out in a way that's simple and made specifically for small businesses. I recommend this book to everyone. It's a quick read and it will make you a better business owner and more confident when it comes to your finances. Number four, ask this before every purchase you make. Will this help me grow my business or improve my client experience in any way? If the answer is yes, great. If not, it might not be the right time to hit purchase. Number five, track your numbers. Know how much you're making and what you're spending and how many tans you need to break even. Number six, avoid comparison spending. I know it's hard not to compare your setup or your growth to someone else's, but remember, you have no idea what other financial situations look like behind the scenes. Be proud of where you are now and build a business that's profitable, sustainable, and aligns with your goals, not what just looks good online. Bottom line, being smart with your money is so much more impressive than having a trending studio or a flashy Instagram. This is your business, and smart financial choices now will set you up for long-term success later. Okay, the last section I want to cover in the business module is all things entrepreneurship and advice. Welcome to the final section of the business module where we're going to talk about what it really means to be a business owner, the stuff that goes way beyond pricing and policies. You're stepping into a role of an entrepreneur, and that comes with a whole new level of responsibility, mindset, and growth. It's exciting, but it's also hard. We're going to talk about the things people don't always tell you when you start. Number one, the quality of your mental health will directly impact the quality of your business. We briefly touched on this at the beginning of this module, but I wanted to touch on it again because it's really that important. When you're just starting out, you are your business and your business is you. If you're having a hard time personally, it's going to bleed into everything. How you show up for your clients, your social media presence, your motivation, your creativity. This is one of the most personal, vulnerable, and lonely things you'll ever do, and no one really prepares you for that part. Being a business owner is incredibly isolating. You don't have coworkers to bounce ideas off of, vent to, or even just take a break with. You are doing everything yourself. And the hardest part, most of your family and friends won't be able to relate. They'll try, but they won't know exactly what to say when you're overwhelmed, burnt out, or questioning everything. There have been so many times I have felt disappointed by the people closest to me, not because they didn't care, but because they simply couldn't understand. No one understands the pressure of having the success rest solely on your own shoulders until they've been there. No one knows the mental weight, the anxiety, and the constant second guessing. One of the most important things you can do for your mental health as a business owner is figure out early on what keeps you grounded. For me, I've learned that journaling is a tool that helps bring me back to center. It gives me space to process hard moments and move forward with clarity. Your version might be something else. Maybe it's going for a walk, unplugging for a day, or talking with a mentor. But whatever it is, know this, your mental health matters just as much as everything else in your business. Now, let's talk about burnout. When the busy season hits, when you're trying to be everything and do everything, it will feel like too much, and it probably is too much. This business takes time. It takes consistency. You do not have to hit all your goals at once. But when you're tired or stressed or in a slump, remember, this is the part that most people quit, but you won't. It will take time, longer than you think, to get to the point where things get easier for you, especially when you're building a reputation from scratch, relying on word of mouth, navigating competition, or working in a saturated area. But growth compounds. One client becomes 5, one review leads to 10. You just have to stay in the game long enough to see it build. Next, self-discipline is the job. One of the hardest parts of being your own boss is that there's no one telling you what to do. No boss checking in, no deadlines, no accountability except you. And that is tough. You have to be the one who says this needs to get done. You have to be the one who shows up when no one is watching. Personally, I love using apps like Monday or Google Calendar to time block my week and break down what I need to do in smaller tasks. It helps me stay on track, but every week isn't perfect, and that's okay. The goal is progress, not perfection. So please give yourself grace, take breaks when you need to, and celebrate the small wins. And know that just by showing up, you're doing better than most. This path isn't for the faint of heart, but it's also the most rewarding thing you'll ever build and do. My final advice before you go is do it scared. Everything about building your own business can definitely feel terrifying, whether it's tanning your first client, posting your first video on social media, opening up your first location, or hiring your first employees. But here's the truth. You have to do it scared. Fear does not mean you're not ready. It means you're growing. Every failure is a lesson disguised as a detour, and those lessons will eventually lead you to your biggest wins. Over time, the risks feel less scary because you've built confidence by pushing through. Trust your gut. No one knows your business like you do. You can ask your friends or family for advice, and sometimes that input is helpful, but at the end of the day, your intuition is the best business partner. There have been so many times where I ignored my gut only to realize that my original idea was the right one all along. You are the one inside your business day in and day out. You know your market, you know your clients, your vision. Trust yourself. Stop comparing yourself to others. This might be the most important advice I can give. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. I know it's easier said than done, especially in the age of social media, but I recommend not following too many other artists or business owners if it starts to cloud your own creativity or confidence. When you start focusing on too much of what others are doing, it's easy to feel behind or not good enough. But your job is not to be like them. Your job is to build a business that feels like you. Keep your head down, stay in your lane, and give your energy to becoming the best version of yourself in your business, not someone else's. Welcome to the marketing module. We are going to chat all about making your brand unforgettable. Whether you have zero experience with marketing or you've been dabbling for a while, this is your full guide to building a magnetic brand through storytelling, strategy, and showing up authentically. We're covering everything from content creations and emails to SEO and networking with one goal: to help you grow with intention, confidence, and build a brand that truly reflects who you are. As you're just starting out and maybe have zero clientele, your main job once you get up and running is marketing. This is an aspect of your business that never goes away and is something that you continually need to adjust and pivot as social media and the internet changes and evolves. Now, let's dive into section 1. What is marketing and why does it matter? A lot of people think marketing is just posting a cute photo on Instagram and hoping someone books. But real marketing, it's strategy, psychology, and storytelling. It's the art and science of getting people to care, trust you, and ultimately choose you. They work together. Your marketing brings people in, your branding makes them trust you, and your sales strategy helps them say yes. You need all three, but this module is going to help you make the first two really easy so that selling doesn't even feel hard. When you market the right way, people are already sold before they hit book. There's actual data behind this. Brands with a strong marketing strategy grow revenue 3 times as faster than brands that don't prioritize it. Why? Because consistent marketing builds trust, and trust is what makes people buy. Think about your own habits. When you're looking to book something, whether it's a haircut, a facial, or even a spray tan, you're gonna click on the brand that looks polished, clear, and intentional. You wanna see their work, their vibe, who they are, what they stand for. You wanna feel something. Humans are visual. We are literally wired to respond to beauty and consistency. That's why marketing isn't just a random post here or there. It's creating a visual representation of your business and what it offers. Your Instagram, website, emails, photos, and videos create something people want to be a part of. Now, for a lot of people, marketing can feel very overwhelming. So if that's you, take a deep breath. You don't need to do everything at once. But if there's one goal your marketing should always aim for, it's building trust. You build trust by showcasing your actual work. And this is something I want to make very clear from the start. Every single image you use to represent your brand should be your own. Do not use Pinterest photos, do not use stock images, do not use other artists' work. If a photo shows someone's skin, their tan, or anything that could be perceived as your work, it needs to be an actual client that you tanned. When I tell you that I use Pinterest, I am solely getting inspiration to curate my own photo shoots. I'm not posting Pinterest photos of other people and using it for content. Your brand should be built on authenticity, not aesthetics stolen from someone else. Your work is worthy of being showcased, and trust me, your audience wants to see your real results. That's what builds trust. If you're just starting out and don't have a lot of client photos yet, do test tans on friends and document everything. Create your own content library. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be yours. Let's dive into building a brand identity and what that entails. Your brand is so much more than just a cute logo. It's the vibe, energy, and personality that people instantly associate with your business, and it's what makes you stand out in a saturated market. This section is all about creating a brand that feels like you, attracts your dream clients, and builds trust from the first impression. Before you even think about colors and fonts, start with a brainstorm session. Ask yourself, what do I want people to feel when they experience my brand? When they come to my social media, when they land on my website? What kind of vibe am I going for? Clean and minimal, bold and edgy, warm and inviting? Who is my dream client and what matters most to them? Your answers here will serve as the foundation for every decision you make going forward. I've created a brainstorming questionnaire that will be linked at the bottom of this section to help you get started. Next, define your target audience. You can't attract everyone and you don't need to. Getting super clear on who your brand is for will make your content, messaging, and marketing so much easier. Paint a full picture of your ideal client. How old are they? What do they do for work? What makes them feel confident? Where do they hang out online? Are they on TikTok or are they on another platform? When you know who you're talking to, your content will resonate deeper and attract the right clients. A mistake I made when I first started was I was trying to target everyone from young girls in high school to brides to soccer moms, etc. Once I niched down and started to focus more on bridal clients, my business really started to gain momentum and the content I posted became a no-brainer. Now, you don't need to focus on bridal unless you feel like that's what will work best for you, but niching down from the jump will be more beneficial than trying to appeal to a wider audience. Next, think about your tone of voice and how you'll show up online. Your tone of voice is how your audience connects with your brand. Some artists have a really professional voice, whereas others approach their audience with a more playful tone. Picture your tone of voice as how you would speak directly to your clients as if they were right in front of you. Once you decide on your branding, target audience, and tone of voice, those decisions will impact how you conduct yourself online. To stay consistent with your brand, ask yourself, does this caption or email sound like me? Is the language that I'm using aligned with my brand personality? Am I speaking directly to my dream client? Staying consistent will help you build a recognizable brand that not only feels authentic, but is memorable for your clients. Now that you have brainstormed your brand and have a blueprint for how you're gonna show up, you'll need to create a logo that aligns with your brand. Whether you're going for luxury, playful, modern, or romantic, make sure your logo feels intentional and aligned with everything else you're building. You can either create your logo on your own or invest in a graphic designer. If you're gonna have a graphic designer make it for you, make sure that you love their previous work and that their aesthetic aligns with your brand. And don't pay too much. Some of these designers charge an astronomical amount, and take it from me, it is not worth it. You don't even want to know how much I spent on my current logo. Whatever number you're thinking of right now, think higher. But hey, this is a prime example of how you live and learn. Every decision, whether it's a good one or a bad one, is helping you grow into the leader and business owner you want to be. After you have your brand and logo nailed down, everything should look cohesive from your Instagram feed to your booking site, making sure every touch point aligns with your brand. Consistency builds trust, it signals professionalism, and it makes your brand instantly recognizable. Lastly, when it's time to launch your business, don't underestimate the power of visuals. Plan a brand photo shoot. Use models or clients who reflect your ideal audience. Choose outfits, locations, and props that match your brand aesthetic to tell a story with those visuals. These photos will live on your website, social, and marketing materials, and they'll help elevate your brand instantly. Now, let's get into all things social media. In today's beauty industry, your social media is your business card, your portfolio, and your #1 marketing tool. Social media isn't just about being online, it's about being intentional. The way you show up online will directly impact how people perceive your brand, how much they trust you, and ultimately, how many clients you book. I personally believe that Instagram is the best way to showcase your business and build a loyal community. I view Instagram as my main social media platform and TikTok as a way to gain new followers and stay on top of trends. Facebook is a place to reach everybody else. I don't really use Facebook or Meta on a regular basis, so I have my Instagram and Facebook accounts linked so that every time I post on Instagram, it automatically gets posted to my Facebook page. Now, you don't need to post on Facebook if you don't want to, but having a Facebook business page linked to your Instagram account unlocks a lot of powerful tools, especially if you want to eventually run ads, schedule posts in advance, or use Meta's business suite to manage everything in one place. Okay, now let's talk through setting up your Instagram account properly. You want to make sure that your account is set as a creator account, not a business or personal account. Setting it as a creator unlocks insights, tools, contact buttons, and analytics that will help you grow. I would recommend setting up your account as an artist account so you get access to trending audios for your posts. If you set up your account as a business account, you will only have access to commercially licensed sounds, and trust me, they're not what you want. The same goes for TikTok. Next, let's talk about your bio. Your Instagram bio might be the first impression a new client has to you and your business, so it's super important that your bio is short, clear, and client-focused. Here's an example of what to include in your bio. The first line should be what you do or your tagline. For example, luxury spray tans in the city that you're in. Next, who you serve. For example, specializing in whatever your niche is. Next, your location. Make sure to add your address. Lastly, you want to have a call to action. You should be linking your direct booking link or having a link tree that has multiple links in one. You want to avoid clutter or too many emojis. Your goal is clarity. In the first glance of your profile, a client should be able to understand exactly what you offer and where you're located. Next, your username and name serve two different purposes. Your username should be your business name. That is your @ handle, whereas your name should be what you do and where you do it. For example, my @ is 7Sunless, but my name is Airbrush Spray Tan Seattle. You want to have what you do or offer as the name because when people search on Instagram, they're most likely not going to search your exact business name, but they will search for airbrush spray tans or spray tans near me, and you want to be the profile that shows up first when they search. Next, your profile photo. Your profile picture is another first impression, so make it clean and branded. A logo works well if it's clear, high contrast, and legible. You want to avoid busy backgrounds or small text. Next, have a few key highlights that cover aspects of your business. Highlights are your mini website. They keep the most important info easy to access. Create 4 to 6 highlights such as services, prep and aftercare tips, client results, FAQs, meet the artist. Now, you don't need to use all of these, but these are just some examples to get you started. After you finish setting up your Instagram, ask yourself, would you know how to book within 15 seconds of landing on your page? If not, then make the necessary adjustments. This goes back to intentionality. Your social media presence should focus on clarity and making it as easy as possible for someone to book with you. All right, now that we've covered the basics of setting up your social media profiles, let's dive into building out your social media brand pillars. Social media can feel overwhelming, especially when you're not sure what to post. That's where brand pillars comes in. Brand pillars are 3 to 5 core themes or topics that you constantly create content around. They keep your message clear, help your audience know what to expect, and give you a go-to structure when planning your content. Think of them as your brand's personality traits. They define what you talk about beyond just selling spray tans, and they build connection and trust. Here are some examples of brand pillars: education, client results, behind the scenes, lifestyle and personal, brand values, and your business business journey. You don't need to use all of these, just 3 to 5 that reflect your brand and feel natural to post about. How to choose your brand pillars. Ask, what do I want my brand to be known for? What topics do I actually enjoy talking about? And what does my ideal client care about? Once you choose them, write them down. These are your go-to content categories. Every post should connect to one of them. Now, when it's time to post, you're not guessing. You're just rotating through your brand pillars and your audience stays engaged and your feed stays consistent. You want to aim to post on social media about 3 to 5 times a week. That might sound like a lot or a little to you, but you want to stay consistent so that people know that you're open for business. If you feel like you're being repetitive, that's okay. You have to remember that not every one of your followers will see every single one of your posts or stories. You want to have consistent or repetitive content so that your messaging is not only clear, but that you're able to reach everybody. One of my main content pillars is reposting client photos, specifically bridal photos, since that's the niche that I want to focus on. If you go to my Instagram, I don't have very many graphics, but what I do have are hundreds and hundreds of client photos. What does this say to a new person who just stumbled upon my Instagram? It says, I know what I'm doing because look, here is all of my work and all of my happy clients that showed off their gorgeous tans. I believe reposting client photos should be a part of everyone's main content pillars. Lastly, don't let perfection stop you from posting. Just start showing up. It's going to feel scary at first, but the more you post, the more natural it will become. I want to dive a little bit deeper into the types of content that you can create. Now, you don't have to be a professional content creator to make content that gets clients through your door. You just need to be intentional and yourself. Creating content is an aspect of marketing that is so vital, but it also takes the most time out of all the other tasks that I do weekly. To plan out a week, just a week worth of Instagram posts takes me hours, from choosing the cover photos and making sure it's all cohesive with the rest of the grid, to making sure I tag who's in the photos, to coming up with engaging captions with a call to action at the end. It takes a lot longer than you think. I say all of this not to overwhelm you, but to hopefully emphasize the importance of social media and to be honest about how much time it takes to create a strong social media presence. Let's break down some of the different content categories that you should incorporate into your social media strategy. Reels and TikTok videos. These are an amazing way to grow on social media. Videos help diversify your content from just static photos and can be used to elevate your profile. You can make a number of different videos that include you spray tanning someone and what that process looks like, a studio tour of your setup, sit-down videos where it's just you and the camera, where you can address skin prep tips or common mistakes that are made when tanning, or anything educational that you think would be helpful to be known. You can make funny videos with trending audios on TikTok to stay on top of trends. For our socials, we like to have just as many videos as we do photos so that we can reach as many people as possible. We are constantly trying to think outside the box of how we can make engaging videos and touch on topics that are relevant to spray tanning. When shooting videos, you want to make sure that the quality of your videos are clear and that your background is clean and uncluttered. You want to make sure your lighting is good too while filming. So filming in front of a window or natural lighting or investing in a ring light are key when it comes to creating high quality videos. The next type of content you can make are carousel posts, and a carousel is a post that has multiple images in one singular post. On Instagram, you can now post up to 20 images per post, and on TikTok, you can do as many as 35. Carousels are a great way to not only showcase a lot of images at one time, but they're a way for you to curate a specific vibe or center a post on a specific topic. Now, you don't necessarily need to stick to one theme per post, but I found that carousels that do tend to perform better. Whenever you are posting professional photos that were not taken by you, you need to make sure that you are tagging the photographer and any other vendors that might pertain to that post. Tagging photographers is super important because those photos are technically not yours to post, so make sure you are crediting them and even tagging them in the caption. The next type of content you can create are graphics, and these graphics can vary from what services you offer to skincare tips and client reviews. Like I mentioned in the business section, I would recommend downloading Canva as a tool to help you design those graphics. The key is to rotate between these types of content and not just post the same type of content 24/7. People want variety and value. One of my favorite ways to plan out my content is by using an app that allows me to plug and play different photos so I can see what will look best aesthetically. Before we move on to the next section, I wanted to leave you with my biggest tip for social media growth, and that is showing your face regularly. This might feel uncomfortable at first, but I promise your face is your brand and people want to see you. Clients don't just want to spray tan, they want to book with someone they feel connected to. Show up on stories, reels, or even just in the background of your BTS content will help build the personal connection. You don't need to be perfectly polished, just be you. Whether you're sharing tips, walking people through your process, or just popping in to say hi, it all builds trust. I do not believe that you can be a successful spray tan artist and not post on social media. So if this is an area for you where you feel the least confident in, then I would make sure that you are taking the time to reflect and get curious about what's holding you back. Ask yourself what feels hard about showing up online. Are you scared of being seen, afraid of what people will think, unsure of what to post, or how to show up consistently? Whatever it is, write it down. Understanding your roadblocks is the first step in overcoming them. Let this training be your starting point, and remember, everyone feels uncomfortable at first putting themselves out there. You're not weird or different because you feel awkward. It gets easier, I promise. Now let's chat through how paid advertising works in influencer marketing. Paid ads and influencer partnerships both can help grow your brand and increase bookings, but only when used strategically. The goal of this section is to help you decide if and when these methods make sense for your business and how to make sure you're getting a return on your time, energy, and money. A paid ad is content you pay to promote to a wider or more targeted audience, typically through platforms like Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Instead of relying solely on organic reach like followers or hashtags, you're putting money behind a post to make sure it's seen by more people and the right people. How it works. On Instagram, you'll see a button to boost a post or a reel. This is how you can pay to target specific audiences with that video or post. Once you hit boost, you'll choose the goal of the ad, whether you want more profile visits, website clicks, form submissions, or sales. Then you're going to define your audience. This is based on location, age, gender, interests, behaviors, and then set your budget. The platform uses your budget to show your ad to the people most likely to take action. You can set your ad to run continuously or run from 15 to 30 days and then stop. You'll want to monitor the performance of the ad by looking at metrics like reach, clicks, and conversion to track what's working and optimize future ads. Ultimately, paid ads help you reach new clients who've never heard of you, stay visible to potential clients who are on the fence, and grow brand awareness. Now, let's talk about when and when not to run paid ads. Paid ads can definitely work, but they're not a magic button. You should not run ads if you don't already have a clearly defined brand, your Instagram and website aren't already converting organically, or you haven't booked consistent clients through free strategies like giveaways, follow-up texts, and posting organically. Paid ads are meant to amplify what's already working, not fix what's broken. You might consider running ads if you have a solid visual brand and website that communicates your value, you've already been booking consistently and want to scale faster, you're launching something new like a service or a holiday promotion. Ads are best used for visibility, not instant booking. Think of them like planting seeds. I think that once you've gotten your systems up and running and you are starting to gain momentum with organic bookings and you have the resources to spend on paid ads, then you should definitely start testing what ads might work best for you. You can create ads using existing posts or videos you've already shared, or you can design completely new ones directly through Meta Business Suite. Now, let's chat through influencer marketing. Influencer marketing can be incredibly valuable, especially for local service-based businesses. But you want to choose who you work with strategically. Ask yourself, do they align with my brand? Is their audience made up of local people who would become clients, or do they have a lot of followers that are out of state? Follower count doesn't always matter. A micro-influencer with 3,000 to 10,000 local engaged followers could be way more valuable than someone with 100,000 followers that has followers across the country. There are a couple different types of influencer partnerships that I wanted to go over. Number one, trade or gifted partnerships. These are where you offer a free product or service in exchange for content or promotion. For example, you give a free spray tan in exchange for a post or story. Number two, paid partnerships. This is where you pay the influencer a flat fee for creating and posting content. This is best for influencers with larger followings, but also will require you to have some capital to be able to afford this type of partnership. I personally would steer clear of this, at least in the beginning, because you don't want to drain your bank account just to be able to work with one influencer. Lastly, brand ambassador programs. These are ongoing relationships with someone who regularly promotes your brand. You want to choose people who will fit your brand aesthetic and who can produce photos that you will actually use and like. I've actually done this before and I've had great success with it. It can be a lot to manage, so maybe keep this in your back pocket as you start to think about an ambassador program when you have the time to really dive in and set weekly hours towards it. Now, let's dive into email and text marketing. Social media is amazing for visibility, but email and text marketing are where real client retention happens. These channels let you land directly in your clients' inboxes or on their phones. No algorithms, no guessing. With the right strategy, you can nurture relationships, share promos, remind them of their appointments, and keep your brand top of mind 24/7. A great way to utilize email and text marketing is through the booking system that you use. A lot of booking systems like Vagaro, Square, and Gloss Genius have add-on services where you can send marketing emails directly to your clients. Even if you don't plan on sending marketing emails right away, I would make sure that when you're choosing your booking system, that you make sure that they have the capabilities to send out texts and emails. There are a few types of emails that you can be sending throughout the month, targeting different clients or even potential clients. Let's start off with sending monthly newsletter emails to your clients. When it comes to email marketing, less can often be more. The goal is to stay top of mind with your clients without overwhelming their inbox or making them feel like you're just trying to sell them something. If your emails feel too frequent, too salesy, you risk higher unsubscribe rates. Each month, I send out a newsletter to my client list with a special promo or offer to go along with it. Your monthly newsletter could include monthly promotions, exclusive discounts, upcoming holidays or events that may encourage your clients to book. Remember, your newsletter should feel like a friendly update from someone they trust, not just another sales pitch. You can also capture potential clients' emails directly through your website and send targeted campaigns designed to push them towards booking a tan. When building your website, make sure you have an email capture form set up to grab contact information from anyone who visits. You'd be surprised at how many people opt in, and this is a free, easy way to keep your business in front of them. Next, let's talk about the importance of automated emails. One of the easiest ways to elevate your client experience and save yourself time is by setting up automated emails. Here are a few I use in my own business. Automated skin prep guides. These are sent automatically to new clients when they book an appointment. We missed you emails. These are triggered 3 months after their last visit if they have not been in since, and includes a 10% discount code to encourage them to book. And lastly, a birthday email. These are sent during their birthday week with a 20% discount as a gift. Most booking platforms that offer email marketing should have automated capabilities, but it's always good to double check before you commit to one. Lastly, when it comes to text marketing, I take an even less frequent approach than I do with my emails. Because texts are a much more direct, in-your-face form of communication, I reserve them for when I really want to make an impact, usually about once a quarter. I'll send major promos, time-limited offers, or when I really want to fill spots for a specific holiday or event. Keep in mind, you're likely already texting clients for follow-ups, checking in after their tan, or asking them for photos, so you don't want to overload them with additional marketing text. The goal is to make your messages feel special and worth opening every time. Now let's talk about SEO and how it's important to utilize as a local business. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization and is all about helping people find your business online without paying for ads. Think of it like this. When someone searches spray tans near me or bridal spray tans near me, you want your business to be one of the first results they see. SEO is how you make that happen. It's the difference between being buried on page 3 of Google, where no one clicks, and showing up on the top 5 results. This is exactly why having a real website and not just your booking site is so important. Your website gives Google content to read and rank. If your only presence is a booking page, you're missing out on the chance to use keywords, blog posts, and location-based content to get found. Let's talk about how it works. Search engines like Google read your website for keywords, words and phrases that people type into the search bar. If you include those keywords in your site copy, blog posts, and service descriptions, Google connects your website to those searches. For example, if your site says Seattle Bride spray tanning, Google is more likely likely to show your business when a Seattle bride searches a similar topic. You can find keywords that people in your city are using by using a tool called Google Keyword Planner. This free tool lets you search by location so you can see what people in your city are typing into Google. Similar to using keywords to rank higher on Google, you can also utilize Google reviews to increase your SEO. Google doesn't just look at your website, it also looks at your reputation. The more 5-star Google reviews you have, specifically with keywords like best spray tan in your city, the more Google trusts your business and pushes you higher in the ranking. There are a few ways I utilize SEO to drive organic traffic to my page. I try to write one blog post per week with SEO-rich keywords, topics like spray tanning tips, bridal prep, what to wear after a tan, etc. And here's why it matters. Every blog post is another page that Google can index. Think of each post as a new door into your business. Someone searching best spray tans in your city could find you because you wrote a blog post with that exact phrase. It also keeps your website fresh in Google's eyes. Search engines love fresh, updated content. If your site hasn't been updated in months, it can slip down the rankings. Regular blog posts tell Google, hey, we're still active and relevant. And lastly, blogs aren't just for Google. They build trust with potential clients. If someone's deciding between you and someone else, and you've got this full blog post full of tips, prep guides, and answers to their questions, you're instantly seen as the authority in the industry. Over time, these few steps have positioned me as the spray tan expert in my area, and I consistently get new clients who find me on Google without having to spend a dime on ads. Before we move on to the last section in the marketing module, I wanted to touch on some best practices for setting up your website to convert leads into sales. As we just talked about, you want to use keywords throughout your entire website so that you're showing up on Google, but that's just one piece of creating a standout website. The other piece is making sure your website has a good flow and is easy to navigate. Your website needs a clear call to action, meaning your booking link should be front and center on your homepage, ideally above the fold, the part of the page before you start scrolling. Your booking link should be on every page and every blog post because you never know where a new visitor will land. You want to think about the most important information every potential client needs to know right away when they land on your page. Your website should feel effortless to navigate, visually on brand, and constantly pushing visitors towards booking. Think of every click as a stepping stone toward a sale. If something doesn't help guide them there, it's just noise. You also want to make sure your booking flow is mobile friendly. Most clients will be browsing and booking from their phone, so make sure the mobile view looks good and is easy to navigate. If you aren't the most confident writer, I would recommend writing out each page that you want and then having ChatGPT help you make it sound more professional. Okay, let's cover our last section in the marketing module, networking. Networking is one of the most underrated but powerful tools you have when starting and growing your business. In the beauty industry, your success isn't just about what you know, it's about who knows you. The more visible and connected you are to your community, both online and offline, the faster your reputation and client base will grow. Let's talk about how you can strategically network within your niche. Whatever you've decided to niche down into, focus your networking efforts on those professionals who are in or connected to that same space. For example, when I wanted to be known as a bridal spray tan artist, I researched every single photographer, makeup artist, hairstylist, bridal shop, wedding planner, and florist in my area. Then I reached out and offered them a complimentary tan, no strings attached, just so that they could experience my service and start building a relationship. This is my biggest tip when it comes to getting your business in front of others, because who wouldn't want a complimentary, free, luxury service? One mistake I see new business owners making is thinking that complimentary services are a waste of time or money. When done strategically, you're not giving away tans for nothing. You're giving people in your industry the opportunity to experience your brand firsthand. Once they see your work and professionalism, they're going to be far more likely to refer you to their clients and talk about you in rooms you aren't in. Think about it this way: tanning one person for free could lead you to have 20 plus paying clients just from their referral. When another business owner comes in for a complimentary service, don't treat it like any other appointment. Treat it like a networking meeting. Talk yourself up, share your specialties and what makes you different. Give them a handful of business cards to pass along to their clients. Ask them to refer you whenever possible, and take the time to learn about their businesses too so you can support them as well. Now, you might be thinking, wow, that would take a long time to individually email potentially hundreds of other businesses. and you would be correct. But there are tips to help the process go faster. One of my biggest tips for sending mass emails quickly is using a Google Mail Merge. This is a tool that lets you send one email from your Google account to a large group of people. But instead of it looking like a generic marketing email, it customizes each one so that it feels like you personally sent it. Now, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details of exactly how you send a mail merge, but you can easily watch a tutorial on YouTube or follow the directions on Google. Mail merges are super helpful because 1, they're free and they look personal and not spammy. 2, they'll save you hours of writing the same email. 3, it's fairly easy to set up if you're familiar with Google Sheets and Gmail. And lastly, people can respond to the email like normal, so then you can communicate with them just like a normal email chain. The next way you can network is through local events. While one-on-one networking is powerful, attending and participating in local events can open a door to even a wider circle of potential clients. And lastly, you can network by dropping off your business cards to other brick-and-mortar locations. Grab a stack of your business cards or flyers and visit shops, boutiques, gyms, spas, coffee shops, any business where your ideal client might frequent. The truth is, the people who are willing to put in the extra effort and put themselves out there are the ones who stand out and build the strongest local presence. A lot of what we covered in this marketing module is free to do. It just takes your time. It takes consistent time and energy to create content online, to write weekly blogs, monthly newsletters, and connect with local businesses in your area. It's hard work, but I promise you it will pay off. These steps will set you up for more success than your competitors, because honestly, I don't think a lot of small businesses who are just starting out even do these steps. I sure didn't, and I probably would have grown a lot faster if I did. These are all tips and tricks I have learned along the way and have incorporated into my business over the years. At this point, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of marketing that there is to be done, you are not alone. Owning a business is hard. You are diving into constant pressure of feeling overwhelmed and feeling like you're never doing enough. But I hope that what you're hearing when I say all this is that you are not alone in feeling like that. I have felt like that and still feel like that sometimes. You get better at it, you learn new skills that make certain aspects of the job easier, and then you get to a point where you can hire help down the road. It's all part of the journey, and it's normal to have those feelings. Honestly, get used to them because they won't be going away anytime soon. I'll leave you with this. As you are starting out, focus on social media growth and building an authentic community online where people are engaging with your content and booking through social channels. And then as you start to grow and feel like you can take on more marketing tactics, start to sprinkle in monthly newsletters, a blog post here and there. You don't need to do it all right away. It's actually not possible. Owning a business is a marathon, not a sprint. So remember that as you start on this journey. I'm cheering you on from Seattle. You got this. You made it to the end of the training. Good job. Congratulations. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was educational and helpful for you. If you are interested in getting spray tan certified and want a certification emailed to you, we offer a spray tan certification quiz linked down below in the description box. Take the quiz. If you pass, I will email you a 7 sunless spray tan certificate of completion. Like I said at the very beginning, we offer in-person trainings and mentorship calls. So if you have any follow-up questions, want to dive deeper into anything, I am here as a resource and would love to help you troubleshoot, brainstorm, all the things. I'm an open book. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.